This podcast of the Equine Forum is brought to you by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program at the College of Business. It all begins in 15 seconds right after this word from our podcast sponsor.
The University of Louisville Equine Industry Program at the College of Business is now offering a graduate certificate, which can be completed in 15 or 30 weeks and be done as a standalone or used as 20% of your MBA. Classes at both the undergraduate and graduate level are forming now for August.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
And here she comes. Songbird's got a 4-length lead as they come into the final furlong. Mike Smith just shakes the reins at Songbird. Going for broke has made progress up into second inside a family tree, but they're 6 lengths behind Songbird at the 16th pole. It is Songbird, this magnificent filly, winning the Alabama. She is a perfect 10.
An Evening Jewel bursts through on the inside. Here's Harmonious, white cap, grandstand side. Perfect Shirl is running a big one too, but it's Evening Jewel. Harmonious drifting out. Evening Jewel, Harmonious, Evening Jewel, and Victor Espinosa have won the Del Mar Oaks.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
And Code of Honor has a 3-length lead. In the center of the track, Magic Michael. Rather, that is Fat Man in second. Down at the rail, West Willpower is in third. It is Code of Honor. Code of Honor. Too classy for them in the Island.
Paramount Prince in front. A full-on to run. Dashed away for Patrick Husbands. Alician Field in second. Stanley House in third. But Paramount Prince, Prince becomes the king. Paramount Prince wins the 164th King's Plate.
Now, here's Mike Penna.
A prince becomes a king. I love it. Great call. Good morning once again, everyone. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, welcoming you to the show that launched a network. It is the Equine Forum, and as always, it is presented by our friends at TwinSpires right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Happy to have you with me right up until 11 a.m. Eastern on Sirius 162, XM 207, our affiliates in Lexington, Louisville, and across the country, streaming worldwide and podcast on our website, horseracingradio.net, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Well, as that montage would indicate, and the ending of that opening montage would indicate, all eyes are going to be on Woodbine in Toronto later today, as the 165th running of the King's Plate, the Canadian equivalent to the Kentucky Derby, highlights a tremendous 13-race program featuring 5 stakes, which includes the Grade 2 King Edward and the Grade 3 Bold Venture. Throughout the week, we have been celebrating the incredible history of the King's Plate with Woodbine Week here on HRRN. And you've probably heard many, many times that the King's Plate was known for several years as the Queen's Plate. And it's Canada's most prestigious race, Canada's oldest thoroughbred race, and the oldest continuously run race in North America. But you may not be aware that much like the Kentucky Derby here in the States, it serves as the first leg of the Canadian Triple Crown. And since we're talking about Canada, I'm going to throw in a little hockey terminology for you here this morning. What makes pulling off the Canadian hat trick so unique is that each of the 3 races are contested on different surfaces. That's vastly different from our American Triple Crown, where all 3 are run on dirt. The King's Plate is on synthetic. The Prince of Wales at Fort Erie is run on the dirt. That comes your way on September 10th. And then the Breeder Stakes at Woodbine is run on the turf on September 29th. So it takes a special horse, a different type of horse, to complete the trifecta with the Canadian Triple Crown. And since that Triple Crown was established in 1959, 7 horses have won it. The most recent being Wando in 2003. So you have to go back a ways to find the last horse to pull it off. But in 2014, the Canadian Hall of Fame decided to honor the 5 horses who had won the 3 races before 1959, before the formal Triple Crown was established, meaning that technically there are 12 horses who are now officially recognized as winning that Canadian Triple Crown. The other notable difference between the Kentucky Derby and the King's Plate is the success, the incredible success that fillies have had in that race over the years. 38 fillies have won the King's Plate as opposed to just 3 in the Kentucky Derby. And that really should be music to the ears of owners Sienna Farm and Windstar Farm, as well as trainer Kevin Attard and jockey Rafael Hernandez. That is the team associated with the filly Caitlin Her Greatness. She is the only filly taking on the boys in this year's renewal, and she could prove to be appropriately named should she be standing in the winner's circle shortly after 6:10 Eastern this afternoon. If she's going to make history, though, she's going to have to deal with a couple of horses hailing from the barn of Canadian and U.S. Hall of Famer Mark Casse. He is always formidable in any race, anywhere in the world, but certainly in Canada where he tends to dominate. Mark has 3 runners in today's King's Plate, including morning line favorite My Boy Prince and second choice Essex Serpent. You're going to hear from Sahin Civaci, who is the jockey aboard My Boy Prince. His story is pretty remarkable. Sahin was born in Western Canada. At age 10, his family decided to move back to their native Turkey. They moved to the capital of Turkey. Sahin didn't even know what a jockey was, had never even heard about that profession. A family member said, "Hey, you should think about getting into riding horses. I think you might like it." He knew nothing about it. He went to the Turkish jockey school, fell in love with it, eventually found his way back to Western Canada, and then to Woodbine, and then here he is, riding the favorite in today's King's Plate. It's a cool story. You're going to hear from him coming up in just a few minutes at 8:15 Eastern. On the human side, there are a couple of ladies who are also looking at themselves today saying, I am on the brink of history. Now, jockey Emma Jane Wilson has been there, done that. She is the only female jockey to have ever captured the King's Plate. She did it aboard Mike Fox in 2007, and today is going to be aboard Jokestar, which is one of 4 contenders from the barn of Canadian-born trainer Kevin Attard. And that's a list that also includes the aforementioned filly, Caitlin Her Greatness. So jockey Emma Jane looking to do it again. And not only add her names to the record book, she's already done that as the only female jockey ever to win it. But now she could do it twice if Jokestar puts in a big effort later today. How about trainer Krista Cole? You might not have heard of trainer Krista Cole. Not exactly a household name in the business like a Bill Mott, a Todd Pletcher, a Steve Asmussen. Doesn't matter, though. She is hoping to join Hall of Famer Josie Carroll as the only female trainers to win the King's Plate. And if she can pull it off, she's also going to find herself on the list of all-time greatest King's Plate upsets. Her entrant in today's race is 0 for 8, an 0 for 8 maiden named Thor's Cause, 50-1 on the morning line. So it would be a colossal upset. TJ's Lucky Moon sits atop the list of improbable winners with his 2002 upset where he paid $166 to win. I have a feeling if Thor's Cause wins today, there's a good chance he could supplant TJ's Lucky Moon at the top of the list because on paper, he doesn't look like he has much of a chance. But they don't run the race on paper, right? We say that all the time. And Thor's Cause, I promise you, has no idea that he is 50-1 on the morning line. He's going to go out there and run his race. And as we know, ask R. Kong. Ask TJ's Lucky Moon. Stranger things have happened. And I bring this up because Krista is going to be here with me at 9 o'clock Eastern to talk about her journey getting to this spot, getting to this position today, and just having a starter in the King's Plate and what that means for her. Stay tuned for that conversation. In between all of that, you're going to hear from Woodbine handicapper Jeff Bratt, who yesterday took time to join Bobby Newman on our Betting with Bobby program. You'll hear from Jeff at 8:35 later in this first hour. He's going to walk through not just the King's Plate, but the other stakes races on that program later today. Ian Wilkes is going to be here in hour number 2, right around 9:20. He will saddle Iowa Oaks winner just basking in the Grade 1 Alabama this afternoon at Saratoga. That's a big one. Big one, too, at Del Mar. The Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks. Phil Bauer trains Buchu, who will be here at 9:40. Well, Phil will be here. Buchu's going to be a little busy out on the West Coast, but Phil will be here at 9:40 to talk about his very talented filly. So as you can tell, we're going to cover a lot of ground as we do every week here on the Equine Forum, and I'll tell you about a couple of other things you can look forward to on today's show right after I give you the poll question here this morning. And we're going to keep it King's Plate related as we continue to wind down Woodbine week here on HRN. Who is your pick to win today's King's Plate at Woodbine? Real simple. And I'll give you the favorite, My Boy Prince, second choice, Essex Serpent, or the filly, Caitlin Her Greatness. Those are the three choices. If you think it's somebody other than those three, you can click someone else, the fourth category, and comment with your pick. That's if you're doing it on social media. You can go to our Twitter page, at HRRN, to weigh in on the poll, or you can go to our Facebook page, Horse Racing Radio Network, and vote that way, too. Who is your pick to win today's King's Plate at Woodbine? Is it My Boy Prince, Essex Serpent, Caitlin Her Greatness, or someone else? And please, if you click someone else, let me know which horse outside of the top three you feel is going to be a factor and win that King's Plate later today. You can do that, too, if you don't do social media, by emailing the show, mike@horseracingradio.net. So here's your full lineup. Sahin Civaci set to join me momentarily, 8:15. Jeff Bratt, Woodbine handicapper. You'll hear from him at 8:35. 9 o'clock, Krista Cole will be here. 9:20, Ian Wilkes. 9:40, it is Phil Bauer. At 10 o'clock Eastern, we begin Hour 3, as we do every week, with the TwinSpires Triple Play. And the maiden start here on the program for Kevin Kilroy, who is going to have 3 races you can keep an eye on later today. You won't want to miss that. He's going to talk about 3 races from Ellis Park with the $3 all-turf pick 3. He'll walk through all 3 of those races for you and give you a few horses to throw in there in your wagers coming up at 10 Eastern. 10:20, it is Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History. Really cool story about the old Woodbine. Kurt always does such a great job of focusing on different aspects of racing history every single week here on the program. And by the way, you can go back to our website and find a full page of Kurt's Stroll Through Racing History stories and just binge listen. They're all so good. You can spend a whole day just going through listening to Kurt's stories. If you're driving across the country, you want to pot them up on your car, you can Bluetooth them there too. It's what a great way to spend the afternoon listening to Kurt take you on a stroll through racing history. And today, no exception. Those segments, by the way, presented by our friends at Keeneland. And then we'll wrap it all up with I Ask, They Answer at 10:30 Eastern. Dale Romans, Tim Wilkin going to be with me to take a look at some of the hot topics in the sport today. Should be a lot of fun. So plenty of things to get to. We kick it off with Sahin Civaci next on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
When it's time to paint the fences and barns, think Farm Paint. At Farm Paint, you get the industry's best coatings and paints factory direct at low prices. Farm Paint is your source for quality paints, roof coatings, dustless arena footings, and more. You can purchase online or drop into a Farm Paint store near you with locations in Heart of Bluegrass Country at 700 Phillips Lane in Lexington, Kentucky, Columbus, Ohio, and Sandusky, Ohio. Buy factory direct and save at farmpaint.com. That's farmpaint.com.
Get ready for the biggest night of racing in Charlestown history on Friday, August 23rd. It's the Grade 2 $1 million Charlestown Classic and Grade 2 $750,000 Charlestown Oaks, now the richest sprint race for 3-year-old fillies in North America. The spectacular card features 6 stakes races worth $2.9 million. The action gets started with a special first post time of 5 o'clock Eastern. It's the Grade 2 Charlestown Classic and Grade 2 Charlestown Oaks on Friday, August 23rd, here at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races.
There are thrills around every turn at Gulfstream Park with heart-pounding horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Join us in 10 Palms Restaurant for an elevated view of the track or take in the races at the Carousel Club, trackside. Come out on Saturdays and enjoy high-quality stakes races and join us all summer long for an expanded event schedule. Simulcast opportunities 7 days a week. For reservations, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
This is Woodbine Week on HRRN.
The thrill of world-class racing now at Toronto's Woodbine Racetrack. With live racing Thursday through Sunday, you can enjoy the best turf racing around with daily action over the famed E.P. Taylor Turf Course. Join us this Saturday, August 17th for the King's Plate. First post is 12:25 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sunday, September 14th, join us for 3 Grade 1 Breeders' Cup win and you're in races with the Woodbine Mile, Natoma Stakes, and Summer Stakes. For wagering updates, handicapping tips, racing news, and more, visit woodbine.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
And the reins being thrown at My Boy Prince to work overtime to make a race of it now, and is coming after them with a gradual move on the outside. Raffaroo's coming home well. Jokestar the inside, and as they turn, the favorite's no good thing. Friendly goes Piper's Factor. My Boy Prince tapped up. Raffaroo down the outside, then Jokestar. My Boy Prince working overtime's gone to the front. Friendly goes to the inside, then Raffaroo. It's taken a while, but My Boy Prince has got the lead and will win the plate trial and goes on to score by a length. Raffaroo a great second. Third, Friendly Ghost. Then Piper's Factor, Jokestar, no more options at last. Beautiful Sky, 151.12.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires. That was Woodbine announcer Robert Geller with the call of the plate trial, and the horse who is the 7-5 morning line favorite in this afternoon's King's Plate, My Boy Prince, looking to give trainer Mark Cassey and owner Gary Barber back-to-back wins in Canada's most prestigious thoroughbred race, and for Cassey, it would be his 4th King's Plate victory if he can pull it off. The man who is going to get the leg up right around 6:10 Eastern Time is jockey Sahin Civaci, and he is kind enough to spend a little time with us here on the Equine Forum today. Sahin, appreciate the visit, my friend.
Thanks for having me on.
You know, My Boy Prince has put together an impressive resume. He is now 6 for 10 lifetime. He has never lost with you aboard, but he has never won when you've not been in the saddle. So what makes the two of you such an incredible team?
Well, I picked up this horse by luck. Kazushi rode it the first time, ran second on it, and he had 2 horses for his next race, and he chose the other horse. So I got lucky there, and I ended up on the horse. The 6 wins I had with him, he's he's an incredible horse, and he's just a very easygoing horse, and that helps a jockey out a lot.
Yeah, you win with him in his maiden victory in June of last year. That was an easy one. You won by 6. You come back in the next race, a stakes race. You win that race by 14. At that point, are you thinking, oh my goodness, what am I sitting on?
Well, yeah, even his first race, I was very impressed. So his first race, it was I believe it was a 5-1 race, and I took the lead, and it was easy fractions, but coming to the stretch, when I asked the horse, he responded incredibly fast, and he had a great turn of foot. So I was very impressed there. And then his second race, in the stake race, it was even more impressive. Like you said, 14 lengths, and he's improved from his previous race. And, it just showed that the horse had great talent.
You've had a lot of success in your young career already, Sahin. 530 victories, more than $17 million in purse earnings to your credit with the horses that you've been aboard. What is it that makes My Boy Prince so special?
I think good horses really have the right mindset towards racing. They want to race, and he's one of them. He's calm and collected throughout post-parade and everything he does. It's just very calm, and he's eager to race. In the race, he's very focused. I think that's what matters in a horse if they know their job.
In the race call we just heard, Robert Geller calling the plate trial stakes. That was his most recent start on July 20th. He said that he was working overtime, but he got the job done. So what was underneath you in that particular race? Walk me through the plate trial.
Right. So I went 6 times on this horse. That's the plate trial was the only race I wasn't very impressed with him. Maybe he was having a bad day. So the 5 races I went on him prior to the plate trial, I was very impressed. And this plate trial, he did break out a little awkwardly, and but he sat in a great position. The pace was slow; it wasn't fast by any means, and I was happy with my position either way. And when it was time to go, he wasn't responding like he usually does. He would have an explosive response and turn a foot, and he would just kick on easily. That day, I had to keep asking him, and the only part that I liked it when he got to the stretch, he kind of knew, and that's where he kicked on a little bit, but it wasn't very impressive in terms of his previous races. But he did kick on a little bit where he got to the wire first.
Yeah, it wasn't as flashy, if you will. That he didn't get the style points he had gotten in his previous wins that you were aboard for, but he still won. And I think that's the sign of a really good horse. And it's like that with any athlete. Maybe they don't have their A game, but they still find a way to get the victory.
That's right. Just like humans, sometimes I feel down to certain races or certain days. So he might have had one of those days. And, if it was the distance, in fact, having this race under his belt going into the King's Plate, I think he has more. He's more fit for it going into the King's Plate for sure.
That's a fantastic point, and it was going to be my next question. The plate trial was the furthest that My Boy Prince had ever been asked to run. It was 1 1/8 miles. Now the King's Plate is 1 1/4 miles, and it sounds to me, Sahin, like you still have the confidence in him that the distance won't be a problem.
That's right, definitely. I think he'll overcome it. Just because he has the mental focus, and he knows his job is racing, and he's just a classy horse and a good horse.
You know a couple of other horses in the King's Plate pretty well, too. You've had success aboard the other Mark Casse trainees, Essex Serpent, who is the second choice on the morning line, and Midnight Mascot. Is there any advantage, Sahin, for a jockey to be familiar with other top contenders in a big race like this?
Yeah, honestly, so I rode Essex Serpent and Midnight Mascot. From the day one I worked Essex Serpent, I told assistant trainer David, this is a nice horse, and he proved himself in his first 2 starts. And the other horse, Midnight Mascot, he's really good as well. His last race, he came off the pace, and he's a very strong horse. If there's any horses that I'm worried about in the King's Plate, it would be Midnight Mascot and Essex Serpent.
Did you and your agent have your choice among the 3, or did Mark say, hey, guys, I want you on My Boy Prince? You'd never lost on him.
No, it wasn't. I'm sure Mark would give us the choice, but it was – I wouldn't come off in my opinion, I would stick with My Boy Prince for sure.
Yep, yeah.
So I'm happy with – I don't even get involved with, I let my agent deal with it, but he knows that I would prefer My Boy Prince.
You're riding 5 other horses from Mark Casse on the card Saturday afternoon. 2 of those are in stakes on the undercard. You have Capture the Lion in the Grade 3 Bold Venture. You rode him last time out. And you have Shifty in the Catch a Glimpse. You're going to be aboard Shifty for the first time. Talk a little bit about the relationship, Sahin, that you have developed with Mark Casse, the Canadian and U.S. Hall of Famer.
Right. So I believe it was mid-2022, I made an agent switch, Leroy Trotman. I switched to Leroy Trotman, and he had connections with Mark Casse. And I believe, prior to that, I was doing well, so I might have caught an eye for of Mark Casse's. And so, yeah, he got me into the barn. The first race I rode for him was it was a stake. I don't know if it was a grade stake, but I kind of blew that one out. I didn't have a good trip. I ended up 4th. The horse probably could have won, but I had some other races for him as well the following day, and luckily I won those. And then, that's where it all began. So after winning those, he put me on more and more, and every horse I've ridden for him was pretty nice horses. So it wasn't very difficult winning races for Mark.
Yeah, you talk about catching his eye. That's a pretty good eye to catch, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. You work hard for it.
Yeah, you work hard for it to get into that position where a guy like Mark Casse is going to recognize you, and then to have the confidence in you to give you the leg up aboard his morning line favorite in the King's Plate. Man, Sahin, that has to mean a lot to you.
Yeah, Mark has been such a fair guy. He's a great horseman. He does good by the jockey every time.
Talking with jockey Sahin Civaci here on the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires. Let's talk just a little bit about Capture the Lion and Shifty. Capture the Lion, as I mentioned, running in the Grade 3 Bold Venture. You rode him last time out. What can you tell me about Capture the Lion?
Yeah, Capture the Lion. Last time I rode it, I believe he wanted to be he was eager to be in the front, so I don't think he liked that. I think if I could sit off the pace a little bit in this race, well, depending on, I think he'll do better.
Yeah, and that's a 6.5 furlong sprint, obviously, so you're down toward the inside. Going 6.5 furlongs on the synthetic surface at Woodbine from the one hole, probably not ideal, but can you work out a good trip from there?
Yeah, definitely. I could sit off the pace in a pocket and find my way out. I think there's some speed in here. It looks like Patches of the Hole-In has some speed with Sophia. Sophia's really fast out of the gate always. And then there's Bordertown, experienced horse, and he's quick out as well. And so I could sit right behind them. Both good horses. Play Me a Tune, probably going to come off the pace as well. And both good horses. When there's good horses in front of you, it's easier to find way.
Yeah, really interesting stuff. Now, the horse you're going to ride in the Catch a Glimpse, Shifty, 2-year-old daughter of Medaglia d'Oro. This is the first time you've been aboard her. It's only her second career start. Talk about, Sahin, your preparation when you're getting ready to ride a horse in a stakes race or any race that you've never ridden before.
Depending on the race type, a race like this, a stakes race, I would definitely watch the replay of the horse and get an idea of its running style. But it is a 2-year-old and it's only run once, so I'll also study the form and see what's the best way to position this horse, depending on the riders and the horses in the race and how many horses there are. Also, it helps if you get on the horse, which I have in the morning. I've never ridden it, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, it's a different approach when you haven't ridden a horse before. We'll see how that all plays out in the Catch a Glimpse on Saturday afternoon here. Let's talk a little bit about your background, Sahin, because this is what really fascinates me. Your journey to becoming a jockey involves a roughly 12,000-mile round-trip pilgrimage from your birthplace in Vancouver, Canada, to your parents' home in the capital of Turkey, Ankara, and then you did all that when you were age 10, and then you come back to British Columbia to begin your riding career. So talk to me a little bit about your background.
I was born in Vancouver, and you basically mentioned everything. So I was born in Vancouver, and at 10 we went back to Turkey, and at 14 my stepdad, he bets on horses a little bit, not too much, but he knows horse racing and follows horse racing a little bit. And he asked me if I wanted to be a jockey. I didn't know what that was, so he showed me on TV. And as a kid in school in Canada, I always attended the sports activities. So I liked running and playing basketball and doing all the sports activities. So yeah, it looked fun to me, and I agreed. And he took me to the jockey school. And I did 2 years training there. I graduated, rode some races there, had some winners, and the plan was to, go overseas. So I decided on Australia, spent some time there, 6 months, and then decided to come back to Canada.
Wow, and that was Hastings Park, right?
Yeah, Hastings Park. Yeah, Bullring, beautiful place. We have the mountains, nice scenes. You know, it's a good place to get started and learn the ropes. And overall good people, and had some fun there. And then when I thought I was ready, I decided to come to Woodbine.
Yeah, and that was, I guess, 2020 when you made that move to Woodbine, and then here you are riding the favorite in the King's Plate later today. That's a really cool story. The Turkish Jockey Club sponsored that jockey school. What was that like? What was it? Strictly just getting on horses and riding every day and learning how to do that, or was there a whole curriculum surrounding it?
No, there's a whole curriculum surrounding it. So they teach math, history. They teach. They have vet classes. Just the basic school curriculum stuff, and other than that, first grade is more so like you learn on these mechanic horses and ride the ponies, learn how to muck stalls, feed the horses, and then when you go to second grade, you get assigned to a stable in the barn area, so the owner's stable. So everyone gets assigned to one, and you start working in the morning at the track and get on some horses there too.
When you came to Hastings in British Columbia in 2015, could you ever imagine that less than 10 years afterwards you'd be riding the favorite in Canada's most prestigious race?
Yeah, it's hard to believe actually, but I never doubted myself. So when I was ready, I decided to move my tack to Woodbine, and I knew I could compete at the highest level here.
Do you let yourself go to the moment shortly after 6 Eastern when My Boy Prince, if he were to do it, if he crosses the finish line first in the King's Plate, do you let yourself go there in your mind and imagine what that moment will be like?
Oh yeah, it crosses your mind. I mean, just because I'm so confident in the horse, I play the race in different scenarios in my mind, and crossing the wire does come to mind as well first.
It better.
Yeah.
Sahin, listen, man, it's so much fun to catch up and to hear your story and to talk to you about My Boy Prince. I really do appreciate you taking some time. And again, I know it's a very busy morning for you and a very busy weekend. So all the best. Safe trip every time you get a leg up, and good luck with all your mounts later today.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
All right, appreciate it. Sahin Civaci here on HRRN. His maiden debut here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. And, I'd have to say he did a very nice job describing what it's going to be like with My Boy Prince later today. When I come back, we're going to talk more Woodbine. I will welcome Jeff Bratt, who is the Woodbine handicapper. Well, I won't welcome him. Bobby Newman welcomed him yesterday on his Betting with Bobby show. You're going to hear his entire analysis of all these stakes races coming up later today. So stay tuned for that. That's right after the short commercial break and your Legends of the Turf.
On Sunday afternoon, October 28, 1973, 40,000-plus fans turned out at Toronto's Woodbine Racecourse in somewhat less than auspicious weather to witness the 36th renewal of one of North America's premier racing events. It was the Canadian International Championship Stakes over 1 5/8 miles on the grass. The object of all the attention in the race was the Meadow Stables Secretariat, who'd amassed a record of 15 wins in 20 starts going into the event. He was the American Triple Crown winner, having been the first to accomplish that feat since Citation in 1948, had set 3 track records, a course record, and 2 world records, and he was unscathed on the greenery. He had been Horse of the Year at 2 and was being mentioned in the same breath as the legendary Man o' War in terms of ability. There was a genuine feeling of excitement surrounding his appearance in the International. His owner, Penny Tweedy, and his conditioner, Lucien Lauren, had selected this race over the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and the Washington, D.C. International for this particular start. On this championship day, people were lined up 3 deep along every path he took to catch but a fleeting glimpse of this marvelous thoroughbred who had been bemonikered Big Red, the same as the aforementioned Man o' War. There were 11 other horses entered in the race, which brought the net worth to the winner to a rather tidy $92,000 plus. The reasons for the competition were, first, that Secretariat's regular rider, Ronnie Turcotte, was not to be in the saddle. He had received a 5-day suspension in New York, which precluded his availability as reinsman aboard Big Red. Eddie Maple drew the riding assignment, and he had been accustomed to riding Riva Ridge, Secretariat's stablemate. Secondly, the turf at Woodbine was softer and more dense than at Belmont, where Secretariat had great success on the grass. At post time, the weather conditions turned abominable, from a slight drizzle to a light sleet. Late on that Sunday afternoon, Kennedy Road went on out to set the early fractions and continued in the band after the first mile, setting fractions of 47-2 for the half, 137-3 for the mile. That was all she wrote, so to speak. Secretariat, the big golden chestnut, was set down by Maple and literally exploded in typical Secretariat fashion, zooming to the front going into the last of 3 turns. He led by 3, then by 4, then by 6, and then by 12 open lengths, leaving a totally demolished quality field of thoroughbreds in his wake. At the furlong marker, Maple eased up on the big colt and allowed him to waltz home the easiest kind of winner by 6 open lengths in a final time of 2:44.4, that time being only 4 ticks off the track record, and this in spite of being eased up, so to speak, at the end. With a 92,000-plus winner share of the purse, he pushed his career earnings to a new all-time single-season mark of $860,000 and surpassed the great Damascus's mark in so doing. He also became the 4th greatest money winner of all time, trailing only Kelso, Round Table, and Buckpasser. It all happened on a meteorically, so to speak, miserable day before 40,000-plus racing fans at Woodbine in Canada, Sunday, October 28th, 1973, in the Canadian International. A truly great performance and indeed a great moment in thoroughbred racing.
This is Woodbine Week on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Join us at Kentucky Downs August 29th through September 11th, showcasing 7 days of racing with $34 million in purses, including the world's richest maiden races at $170,000 for Kentucky breds. The meet boasts the largest field sizes in America, with 6 $2 million stakes races on September 7th and 15 of 18 stakes worth at least $1 million for Kentucky breds. Also on September 7th is the FanDuel TV U.S. Open Turf Championships, including 2 Breeders' Cup win-and-you're-in races. Reserved seats on sale at the KentuckyDowns.com. There's Unique, and there's Kentucky Downs.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
His sire is one of the most exciting young stallions in the world. His dam has become one of the most important brood mares in the industry. And on the first Saturday in May, his genetic brilliance shined brightest on racing's biggest stage.
They come into the final 16, and it is going to be Mage to win the Kentucky Derby.
Mage, standing at Airdrie Stud. Think about it.
Live racing at Ellis Park runs July 4th through August 26th with the first post of 12:50 p.m. Eastern, Saturday through Monday. Highlights include a record $3.7 million in stakes purses across 18 races, including Kentucky Downs Preview Weekend, August 3rd and 4th, and Ellis Park Derby Day on Sunday, August 11th. Average daily purses are more than $615,000. For more information, visit ellisparkracing.com. Purses powered by the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
As they hit the quarter pole, it is Wando. Leading them over to the top of the stretch, Patrick Husbands asks him for his heart, and he opens up. It is Wando by 6 into the lane. Mobile to the inside. Rock again on the outside. Final furlong. It is all Wando. Sharp, strong, and a dominating winner of the Queen's Plate. Wando. Simply spectacular.
Boy, was he ever spectacular. Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, with you up until 11 a.m. Eastern. That was the voice of Dan Loisel, the legendary longtime announcer at Woodbine. Just so unique, and somebody who had just added so much to the game when you would listen to Dan Loisel call races. And that call right there of Wando winning the then Queen's Plate in 2003 before going on to sweep the Canadian Triple Crown, pretty special. Wando was pretty special, and he is the most recent Triple Crown winner. You had Pietski before him back in 1993. Dance Smartly, the filly, did it in 1991. You had Izvestia 1990 with Approval, Canabora 1963, and New Providence in 1959. Those are the modern era Triple Crown winners. And we're going to see if one of the Canadian-bred 3-year-olds entered in today's King's Plate can take that first step on the road to immortality later today. Post time for the King's Plate, 6:10 Eastern. You heard from Sahin Civaci in the previous segment talking about the favorite, My Boy Prince. And one of 3 entered from Mark Cassidy, but My Boy Prince has been really good. But you also heard him say there were some current concerns in that last race, the plate trial. He won. And as I pointed out, the sign of greatness is not always having your A game, but still being able to get the victory. That's what great horses do. That's what great athletes do. And that's what My Boy Prince did in the plate trial last time out. Does he have to be better today? Yes, he does. But Sahin, as you heard him say, feels confident that that race will benefit him. His first try going that far, that will benefit him, and use that. And he can use that as a stepping stone later today when he goes 1.25 miles in the King's Plate. Krista Cole going to be with me coming up at 9 Eastern. She will settle a huge long shot, 50-1 in today's King's Plate. It would be a massive upset if she could pull it off. You're going to hear from her with her first King's Plate starter in just a few minutes. Ian Wilkes at 9:20, Phil Bauer coming up at 9:40. All of that ahead in hour number 2. But yesterday, Jeff Bratt, longtime Woodbine handicapper, does a fantastic job. He took time to visit with our Bobby Newman on our Friday afternoon Betting with Bobby show, and he walked through not just the King's Plate, but he walked through the other stakes races on that program today. And here's what Jeff had to say.
Pleased to be joined by Jeff Bratt. He is the television host and analyst up at Woodbine, been there for many, many years. It's King's Plate Day tomorrow, Jeff, up at Woodbine.
It is. Great to be back with you, Bobby.
I have to say this, Jeff, and in all seriousness, I am still having trouble not calling it the Queen's Plate. And I mean,
we have a jar.
My entire life, it was the Queen. It was the Queen's Plate, and it really threw me for a listen. Her Majesty the Queen passing away has thrown me for a loop in the way that it's not thrown other people for a loop.
Well, we have a jar on our sets that you have to put $1 in every time we call it the Queen's Plate, and there's about $54 in there so far. So you're not the only one that's had a bit of a tough time, but. Yeah, no, it is the King's Plate. We had to engrave the trophy with the King's Plate. That's the thing. It's called the plate, but you get a trophy. So go figure about that. But anyways, that's just one of the oddities. But it is 165 years steep in tradition. It is North America's longest continuously run stake race. It has survived depressions. It has survived wars. It survived COVID. We ran a race with no fans one year in the stands. That's how much we've storied this race. So, you know, what I like and what is so significant about this race from our country's point of view, Bobby, is it's for horses bred in Canada. Horses, they had to be bred in this country to be eligible for this race, and they get a chance to become part of Canadian racing history coming up on tomorrow's program.
Yeah, and because it's restricted to horses bred in Canada, it is not a graded race, which is kind of ridiculous. That this is not a graded race, but everyone knows what the Queen/King's Plate is. And this year's edition looks like a fantastically tough field to handicap. Goes as race 11 tomorrow on the card at Woodbine, approximately 6:10 Eastern Time. $1 million on the line, 1.25 miles on the main track. Big field of 13 as expected. But the two who are going to get the most of the play as far as the wagering goes are My Boy Prince and Essex Serpent.
Yeah. and both are trained by Mark Casse. And he's got another kind of live long shot, I would say, in the race, too, with Midnight Mascot as well. So he's obviously loaded for bear in here. And, I'm glad that you brought up the point, too, about, the fact that this race can't be graded, because look at the last two winners of this race. Moira, she is on the cusp of being a Grade 1 winner. She just won the Beverly D the other day. And then Paramount Prince is the best older horse in Canada right now. So it's produced many, many good horses throughout the years. But, my boy Prince, he's been the kingpin for a long time. He was our champion 2-year-old from last season. He ran well in the Breeders' Cup. He finished third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. His season got off to a bit of a rough start, and now he's rolled off 3 consecutive victories. And yet everybody I talk to is trying to beat the horse. Oh, he's breached his top. Like he blew the brake last time out. He was lucky to win, and I don't even know if he's going to be the favorite. That's how much hype Essex Serpent's gained. And listen, I'm picking Essex Serpent in here too, but I would not be surprised if Essex Serpent goes off as the favorite because he's lightly raced. He's run 3 times. The horse they beat last time out came back to win a $250,000 stake race at Ellis, and it just seems like my boy Prince has kind of peaked. Whereas Essex Serpent, we don't know how good he's going to be. And the cool thing is, Bobby, the rider is Patrick Husbands. He just got inducted to the Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame. He's looking to become the 4th different rider to win this race on 4 occasions. He would join, check out this group, Avelino Gomez, Robin Platts, and Sandy Hawley. Like, what a great group of riders he would be joined if he was able to pull off a victory there with Essex Serpents.
I'm going to tell you something funny about Sandy Hawley that maybe some of the listeners don't know. Of course, he rode a lot in Canada. He also rode a lot in Southern California, which is where I grew up. And being Canadian, not surprising that he was a big ice hockey fan.
Yes.
And back when the L.A. Kings used to play at the Fabulous Forum, which is right next to where Hollywood Park used to sit, if they were riding at Hollywood Park and the Kings had a home game, he would be manning one of the penalty boxes during the game. I believe he was manning the opposing team's, the visiting team's penalty box. So he would go from riding at Hollywood Park in the daytime and basically could walk across the street to the Forum, and you can't get a better seat in the house than sitting in a penalty box and watching the game. So he was probably being paid to do exactly what he wanted to do anyway.
Exactly.
Go watch live ice hockey.
He's got some great stories too, because we know hockey's not. There's not as much fighting now in hockey as there used to be, but back in the day there would be all kinds of fights. So this guy would get in a scrap, and they would just beat each other up to a pulp, and the guy would go in the penalty box, and the guy would say to Sandy, "You like anything of yours tomorrow?"
These guys, we used to see guys like Bernie Nichols at the racetrack all the time. When he was playing for the Kings, and obviously, there were other guys who would, when they were visiting, playing road games in L.A. I'm sure they'd go to Hollywood Park if Hollywood was running at the time. Okay, so I have a question about Essex Serpent. He has won 2 of his 3 starts. His lone loss was in the Queenston when he ran into my boy Prince, but the comment says that he had an awkward break. What exactly happened that day?
Yeah, he just wasn't prepared. He looked like a bit of a goof in there, and he just didn't break all that well. And then he rallied really effectively to finish in the second place position. I think he's only run 3 times. I just think lack of seasoning got to him in that race. And I just think he made a blunder, but he was perfect in the Marine when he wired the field on that day. So. He looks pretty good, but I want to talk about some kind of, a lot of people that come to races and they just, on a race like this, they play the name game. So speaking of hockey, Bedard is named after a rookie hockey player for the Chicago Blackhawks, Connor Bedard. And they have Caitlin Greatness, the one Philly taking on the boys in this race, and Phillies have done very well in this race, and she's named after Caitlin Clark. And she's coming off a second-place finish in the Oaks, so she ran quite well. So if you're looking for some hunch plays, maybe that's the direction you want to go.
The King's Plate is not the only stake on tomorrow's card. In fact, 5 stakes in all, including a couple of graded stakes, the Bold Venture and the King Edward. They goes races 7 and 8, respectively. No more Pink Lloyd to handicap in the Bold Venture. And by the way, he didn't win every time that he ran in the Bold Venture, but he did get a couple of wins in this big Grade 3 event, which goes as race 7 on the card, 3-year-olds and up, 6.5 furlongs on the main track. Field of 7 coming together in this race. Patches O'Houlihan is very logical to be the favorite in this race. The horse that I want to ask about is Play Me a Tune.
Yeah.
Wow, has he looked phenomenal in his first 2 starts.
He has, and he was thought to be their plate horse last year, and he got hurt, unfortunately. So he never made it to the races last year, but he finally had his much-anticipated debut this season, and he won nicely. And what was so surprising about that, so he wins by 11, but what I found interesting, Khmer was really after him down the lane. Like, I almost think they wanted to see what they had. So often first time out, you'll be geared down, but they really kind of put the screws to him in that first start. And he comes back and he runs just as well last time out, was able to pull off the victory. So who knows how good he could be, but I'm kind of with you. He's kind of the intriguing horse in this race. But just get back to Patches O'Houlihan. I got so burned on this horse last time out that Bob Tiller, he only worked the horse 3 times going into that race because he had a bruised hoof. And I thought, okay, he might need one. And the horse wins and gets 103 Beyer. So I don't know if you're a believer in the regression or the bounce theory here, but I am a little bit worried that he might regress a little bit, but he always seems to prove me wrong.
I am actually a believer in that, and I'm especially a believer in it when it comes to young fillies. It seems like it's harder for them to put those monster races back to back. When it's older colts and geldings, it may be not quite as tough. 8th race is an intriguing edition of the Grade 2 King Edward for 3-year-olds and up, going a mile on the turf, which, of course, is a 1-turn mile up at Woodbine. Filo di Ariana might be the lone speed in this race. I was actually a little bit surprised he was this low on the morning line, 4-5.
Pretty aggressive for sure. And I think one of the storylines is the forecast for tomorrow. But this ground's going to have some cut to it. We're expecting some rain on the card for tomorrow. So you have to look and see how some of these horses have handled giving course in the past. I find with Philo, and you can see it in the form, like when he's good, he'll win this race for fun. But often he has a tough time stringing consecutive top races together. And that last race was very, very good. And let's face it, this is a stepping stone for the mile coming up in about a month's time right now. So he's got to run well in this race, but he's clearly the horse to beat. But who's kind of the up-and-comer in this division is the number 1, that being Cruden Bay. And what about this rider, Sofia Vives? I mean, she's going to lose her bug in a couple of weeks, I think it is. And she won the Connaught with a perfect ride last time out with this horse. And he can make a strong case. He's never been better than he is right now. So, maybe he's the one that's going to play giant killer to Filo de Ariana in this spot.
Oh, I'd certainly like to own Cruden Bay. He just fires a good shot every time he goes to the races. I was surprised when I was glancing at his PPs that it took him this long to get into races like this because he fires so big every time. I just didn't realize it was always against those allowance optional claiming type of races, but he proved in the Connaught Cup last time out that he's certainly no fluke. Jeff, really appreciate you taking the time. It's got to be a full day for you tomorrow out at Woodbine. What kind of crowd are they expecting on plate day?
So we're expecting 20,000 on site, and the weather is not going to deter us. We're still going to party. That's one thing Canadians can do, Bobby, is we can party pretty good. And first race post time's 12:25. We have all kinds of guaranteed pools and the multiple leg wagers, and we're going to have the mandatory payouts and the pick six and the high five as well. And first race post time will be at 12:25. And one of these years, my friend, we're going to get you up here for the King's Plate.
Man, I would love to get up there. It has been 25 years, I think, since I've been to Woodbine. When I was at Woodbine, there was no casino. I know that Woodbine and Mohawk were kind of splitting time as to who would have the standard bred racing at night. But it's been a long time. I loved the look of going and sitting in the front row on the upper level of the stands when they were having turf racing, and it almost looked as though they were coming beneath me when they were coming down the stretch. It's a fantastic look, and I miss going to Woodbine. I'm ready, my friend.
Well, you come up here, I'll treat you to a round of golf. How does that sound?
I will buy dinner. How about that?
Okay, perfect. Thanks,
all right.
Bobby.
Really appreciate it, Jeff. Have a great day tomorrow. Looking forward to some awesome racing at Woodbine.
Thanks, my friend.
All right, wonderful stuff from Jeff Bratt, again, with Bobby Newman yesterday on our Betting with Bobby program. You can catch that show every Friday from 4 to 6 Eastern. It precedes the Weekend Stakes preview show from 6 to 7 Eastern here on the network. So make sure you check out our full schedule of programming on our website, horseracingradio.net. When I come back, I will update you on this morning's poll question and tell you what's ahead in Hour 2 and Hour 3. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Woodford Feed, where tradition merges with technology. Family owned since 1940 and providing exceptional customer service, Woodford Feed specializes in the highest quality feed, using only the finest ingredients to ensure optimal nutrition for your horses. In addition, Woodford Feed can help with all your farm needs, including field seed, fertilizer, and weed control. So whether your horse is sprinting around the racetrack or has a foal by her side, count on Woodford Feed to provide the quality nutrition necessary to perform at the highest level. Woodford Feed for Sales, Kentucky.
The Claiming Crown is returning to Churchill Downs Saturday, November 16th. Make plans to be part of the Claiming Horse version of the Breeders' Cup, showcasing 8 Claiming Crown races offering a minimum of $100,000. Each race will also offer a Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund purse supplement for registered Kentucky breds.
An invaluable goes all the way up top to win at a length and a half.
Eligibility request deadline for the Claiming Crown at Churchill Downs is Saturday, October 26th. Learn more at claimingcrown.com.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Well, John, the stage is set for the final transaction.
That's right, Joe. Heather's moment has arrived, and you just hope all that training pays off.
Heather lays down her purchase, but Randy rings it up as slowly as he can.
He is a wily veteran.
It gives Heather's eyes the chance to wander.
Uh-oh.
Yep, she's looking at the cigarettes.
There's nothing good back there. Quit now, and in 5 years, your odds of getting certain cancers drop 50%.
Meanwhile, Randy's stone-faced. He's giving nothing away. He just stands there, wetting his cashier's finger on that sponge.
Heather toes the rubber.
Here we go. Heather's arm is in motion. But instead of pointing at the back wall, she just grabs the gum off the counter.
That's a slick move.
Heather back. She is out of there. Even Randy tips his cap to Heather. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally wants you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Trainer Talk, presented by Fasig-Tipton.
Please join me in welcoming Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher.
Hall of Fame trainer Nick Zito on Trainer Talk. Welcome Hall of Famer Bob Baffert to the program. Hall of Fame trainer Shug McGahee, nice enough to spend some time with us. Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott here on Trainer Talk.
Dual Hall of Fame trainer Mark Casse.
Trainer Talk, the biggest names in horse racing. Wednesdays, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. Sirius 162, XM 207, and streaming live at horseracingradio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Took a wrong turn in front. Silver Smoke's finishing pretty well on the inside. And as they come to the lane, Red River Rebel pushing the pace. Took a wrong turn in front. Silver Smoke coming up the inside to challenge. Red River Rebel is there from Candy Overload as they come down the lane. Took a wrong turn leading, and now Galveston firing. Took a wrong turn in deep water coming up the rail. Silver Smoke with Red River Rebel and Candy Overload down the outside. Up the rail, Silver Smoke trying, and out wide Candy Overload. Candy Overload grabs the lead and has won it. Candy Overload took a wrong turn. Red River Rebel, and on the inside Silver Smoke. Then Maximus Momentous. And the time is 1:17:40.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. That Robert Geller, the Woodbine announcer, with the call of Candy Overload, with a maiden victory at Woodbine on October 23rd, 2020. And you say, Barron, what does that have to do with anything? Well, Candy Overload began his career in the hands of trainer Krista Cole, now in the barn of Mark Casse. But that was a big win for Krista Cole, the all-time leading money earner that she has ever trained. At that point, when Candy Overload was transferred to the barn of Mark Casse, $179,000 in earnings was the total. Now Candy Overload has earned more than $460,000, and a special horse in the career of Krista Cole, who will be with me in just a couple of minutes, coming up at 9 o'clock Eastern to talk about her 50-1 long shot going in today's King's Plate. She has dreamt about being part of this race her entire life, and now she has the opportunity to do something that would be maybe unprecedented, because Thor's Cause could become the longest shot ever to win the King's Plate. Now, we don't know what the odds will be at post time later today, 6:10 Eastern, but Thor's Cause is going to be a long shot, a big long shot, maybe the longest shot. 0 for 8 lifetime. Why does he deserve a shot in a race like this? We'll talk to Krista about that coming up in just a few minutes. I know it's a busy morning for her. Ian Wilkes going to be with me at 9:20, talking about the Alabama, and then Phil Bauer talking about Buku going to the post in today's Del Mar Oaks. That's also a grade 1 on the West Coast. Coming up at 10 Eastern, we kick off Hour 3 with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kevin Kilroy making his maiden start here on the program. Get a chance to visit with him. He'll give you 3 races you can keep an eye on later today. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20. And if you missed me saying this earlier, you're in for a real treat. Kurt has a story about the old Woodbine coming up in that segment here today. So stay tuned for that. And at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer. Dale Roman's Tim Wilkin going to be with me to talk about some of the hottest topics in the sport today. That's going to be a lot of fun. There are listener-submitted questions involved in that show again. So many of you now taking time to submit questions for Dale and Tim every week, and we really appreciate it. I know Dale and Tim love answering your questions. So if you have a question you would like to hear Dale and Tim answer for you or debate, a topic you want them to debate on I Ask, They Answer, all you have to do is submit your question via email, mike@horseracingradio.net, and we'll get it worked into the program. You can do that, too, on our social media pages, at HRRN on Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook. Submit your questions there. We will work them in, and each week we choose a listener to record their question for Dale and Tim, and we play it back for them on the show. So, in essence, you get the opportunity to ask your question directly to Dale and Tim as opposed to me reading it on the show for them. So keep that in mind. Those are some perks to emailing your questions or your topics for Dale and Tim each and every week. Poll question this morning: who is your pick to win today's King's Plate at Woodbine? And gave you some choices. My Boy Prince, the morning line favorite. Essex Serpent, second choice. Caitlin Her Greatness, the filly, taking on the boys, or other. And so far, half of you, 50%, are saying it is My Boy Prince who is going to win. You're going with the favorite in that race today. You can cast your vote at HRRN on Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, or you can email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net. That is what Tom in St. Louis has done. He said he's going with Essex Serpent in the King's Plate later today. So a lot of respect for Essex Serpent, and also a lot of respect for the morning line favorite, My Boy Prince. Coming back with Hour 2 right after this 10-second pause for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of 3 rolling on. Very busy morning. If you missed any portion of the first hour of the program talking about the King's Plate, you missed my conversation with jockey Sahin Civaci, who is going to be aboard the morning line favorite My Boy Prince, and you missed the conversation that Bobby Newman had with Jeff Bratt walking through all of the races. The Woodbine handicapper has been there a long time. Jeff does a great job, and he walked through the King's Plate and the other stakes races with Bobby. If you missed any of that, head back to our website. After we finish up at 11 a.m. Eastern, you can listen to the podcast of this program whenever you get some time, and you can do that, too, on every podcast platform. So wherever you access your podcast, whether you listen to them on Apple Podcasts or Google or Spotify or Podbean, wherever you listen to your podcast, type in Horse Racing Radio Network, follow along with us, and you can listen to not only this show, but all of the shows we bring your way throughout the week. And there are so many of you who tune into every single one of those, and we certainly appreciate it. Listeners in more than 140 countries each year make HRN their home for racing coverage, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for being with us. Krista Cole is with me now. Krista, we played a call of Candy Overload winning a maiden race at Woodbine in 2020. That is when Candy Overload was in your care, now in the barn of Mark Casse, but a special horse for you. And now today you have an opportunity to realize your King's Plate dream with a massive long shot, 50-1 on the morning line in today's King's Plate, Thor's Cause, and it's going to be a special day for you. Thanks for being with me.
No problem. Thanks for asking me to.
Yeah, really excited to talk about Thor's Cause and to hear your story, which is just fantastic, the journey that has brought you to this point. But let's start with the big horse, if you will. He is 0 for 8, yet to win a race. Why does he deserve a shot to make your dream come true in a race like the King's Plate?
Well, everybody deserves their shot, but the owners are such fantastic owners, and they actually bought him as a yearling for the Queen's Plate. So that was their dream from the moment they bought him. And he hasn't won yet, but he's always tried, and he's got in trouble in many races, cut off or blocked, but he always comes at the end, and he always gallops out. So we know he can do the distance, no problem. That's not a concern. He's a little horse, though. So he's going to be – the rest are going to be towering over him. But he has a big heart. Yeah, he's little.
Yeah, he's a
like
son
a little
of Brody's
northern
Cause.
dancer. Like a little –
Boy, if
yeah.
he can be anything close to Northern Dancer this afternoon, you would be just fine with that.
Oh, I would be ecstatic.
So, okay, you come into the race. He hasn't won yet. Tell me about the conversations and the decision-making process to say, you know what, this was our dream. We're going to take our shot. Tell me about how that all comes together.
Yes, it was they had paid him up to the plate from when we first, because you had to start paying up early in the year, and they did all their payments, and that was their dream to go to the plate. So I was going along with them. I wasn't going to deter them.
No, good for you. And it's been a dream of yours since, well, as far as back as you can remember.
It's all our dreams. Everybody back here, we all dream that.
What has the experience been like this week? Is it everything you thought it would be?
It's been a lot. With all the people, I mean, the east coast of Canada where I'm from, the west coast, because my family lives out, a lot of my family are out there now, like all the people that are cheering for me, and even people in the States, because even the farm that has Brody's Cause have called me and messaged me, and they're cheering for me. If all of those good luck come to me, then I should win by the whole length of the stretch, because there are so many. I can't believe the amount of people that are like on my cheering for me. It's amazing. It's so amazing.
How many people will you have at the races with you today, Krista?
Well, my family, my brothers and sisters can't be here because they're all scattered all over Canada, but they'll be watching. So I'm bringing my daughters and their friends, and then my owners have all their friends, and then my Sherry McLean of Northern Dawn Stable, she's going to be here to be with me because she's a great partner in my barn. And yeah, but I have a lot of people watching.
All right, so tell me about this love that you have developed for the horse. Where did this love of racing and for the horse begin for you?
Oh, when I was a little kid. My mom said my first words was horse. It wasn't mom or dad, it was horses. But my grandfather was a big standardbred trainer. So, and I grew up on the farm, so I always wanted a horse. I bought my first horse it was a pony when I was 7. Her name was Queenie.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And then I got standardbreds because we didn't have thoroughbreds. You don't have thoroughbreds down east. It's
right.
Standardbreds.
Did you think about being a jockey, or was this always in your back of your mind, I want to train horses?
Well, I just wanted to ride them. I didn't even have to. I didn't even think about training until I got here. I did ride quarter horses. I was a jockey for a few years with the quarter horses. Not thoroughbreds. I'm too tall for that. But yeah, when I came here, I just wanted to be around horses, and then I wanted to own them, and then I just became a trainer.
So as I was
anything to do with horses makes me happy. So.
Yeah, I was reading through a story, Krista, that Woodbine had put out there about you and your dreams and Thor's Cause and how this all came together. And there was a line in there where they talked about a main road in your hometown that was
where
named,
I grew up. It was called Toronto.
Toronto, right.
Toronto Road. It's
tell
called
me
Toronto
about that.
Road. Yeah, I grew up on my family, my grandmother, and she owned the one whole side of the road, and that's where we lived because that was our farm. And the whole road, it started off as a paved road, and at the end of it, it turned into dirt roads, like red dirt roads from PEI. And I used to ride my horses all back the dirt roads all the time. But it was just a sign that said Toronto with an arrow. They didn't even write road. Yeah, people used to just stop and take pictures. There's Toronto with 4 houses on the road.
All roads point
and then here
to the
I am
King's Plate.
In Toronto.
Yeah,
yep.
in
the
the King's
community
Plate.
I grew up was Mayfield, so yep.
Yeah, so special. I mean, such a cool angle. What was the thing that led you to start working with thoroughbreds and get into the training side of things?
Well, I was actually in Ottawa with a bunch of friends, and we were show jumping actually. And we had a break. So the one girl, she had worked here one summer, and she's like, "Oh, do you want to go to Woodbine?" And I said, "Yeah, I've never been there. I've only watched it on TV." I said, "Let's go." So we came down here and we got jobs. I was a groom, and I never left. I stayed. I didn't even go back. I was supposed to go back to Ottawa, and I'm like, I'm not going back. I'm staying here. And then I went to Florida and worked with some really nice trainers down there and some great owners. And I just worked my way up to galloping and got one and then got my license.
Wow. What do you like most about training horses for a living?
I like riding them.
Do you still get on your horses?
I like to ride them. Yep. I can't get on all of them. I have more than I can. I have some really good riders, but I like to, I'm going to ride that one tomorrow because I want to know how it's going, and then I'll ride another one. And obviously I have my favorites that I ride every day.
How about Thor's Cause? Do you ride him?
Yep. I've ridden him many times. There's another rider that really loves him, so I let him ride him most of the time, but I will ride him a couple times a week. He's really nice to ride.
What do you feel underneath you when you're aboard him?
That he could go forever. He just never gets tired. He's very light on his feet, and he just goes around, bows his head beautifully. He has a little fancy tail with a gray at the bottom and a big white face. He's very pretty.
And today he tries to pull off a shocker in the King's Plate. Krista, do you dream about that moment if he were to cross the finish line first today?
Oh, yeah, many times.
What's that look like in your head? What's that dream look like for you?
That he's coming down the lane and where he just had his ears pinned, running down the lane and passing them. Some of them are getting tired and some of them are trying. Wins, and we're just everybody screaming.
I was talking about this earlier in the program. If he can find a way to pull off what most people think is impossible for him, but if he doesn't know he's 50-1 on the morning line, he has no idea.
He'll be higher than 50-1. He'll probably be like 90 or 80.
Yeah, and if he were to do that, he would supplant, if he were to win, TJ's Lucky Moon, right, as the longest shot ever to win this race. Because TJ's Lucky Moon was 82-1.
I was here for that. I was here when he won TJ's
Were
Lucky
you really?
Moon. Yep, I was at Woodbine.
What do you remember about that day?
It's so exciting that it was a maiden and he just ran away with it. And I said, well, then everybody has a shot.
If he can do it, why can't you?
Yeah, I've actually seen lots of maidens win, not like Queen's Plate, but out lots of different stakes and multiple long shots. I haven't had multiple long shots win races. It's sometimes it's just their day, and sometimes they just step up.
Yeah.
Or the luck is on your side.
Well, he'll need some luck later today, but
a lot of luck.
Stranger things have happened, right? We have seen this.
Yeah.
They don't run the race on paper.
Yeah,
you're happy to be there. They don't run it on paper. What's the key? If Thor's Cause is going to shock everybody today, what's the key to him getting the victory?
A good trip. He needs a really good trip. There's some really nice horses in the race, so he needs the fantastic trip. The jockey's ready and he knows them, so I'm not worried about him, but he needs a good trip. He's little, so they can push him around.
Yeah. Well, he draws post 9. That has to work to his advantage, right?
Yeah, because then he can just sit on the outside. He won't get trapped and stuck down on the rail.
So what's the perfect trip for Thor's Cause? If you could draw it up on paper right now, how would you do it?
I would like him to break and sit somewhere in the middle, like 5th or so, 6th, and just on the outside and stalk them. And then there should be there's a couple speed horses that'll be up there, and then come and start making the move in the turn and get on the outside so nobody's going to block you. Because if you get blocked, it's hard to get going again. And then just sail down the lane.
Well, we're going to find
out.
We'll
be calling his name.
We're going to find out if he has what it takes to pull this off. Tell me about what you've done with him on the training side to get him ready for this 1.25 mile test.
Well, he trains. We do a lot of jogging, like a whole mile first. I like to warm up all my horses, and then lots of 1 3/4, 2 miles. And then I always give them a break. And we have a field here up at Woodbine that we can gallop around. It's kind of like for their brains, right? Relax them. So it's not all train. You got to give them a little break sometimes to get just to chill out. So I like to take them out there. It's not much difference. He's a nice horse to ride, so nice horse to train.
You know, Krista, there are plenty of people listening to this program right now throughout
you
Canada,
said all over the world.
Yeah, all over the world, 140 countries every single year.
Amazing.
But it's really special, and you know they're getting to know you, but they're also going to get to know the owners of Thor's Cause. So tell me a little bit more about the ownership involved with Thor's Cause.
Well, there's Joe Pigliatari. He's the initial one that bought it in the sale with the dream for the Queen's Plate, and then Alan and Vicky, which is Beard Path Management, they wanted a piece. So Alan bought a piece off of Joe and brought his wife involved, and his wife does a lot of. She's like a bodyworks lady, massages and bioflexes and all that stuff to keep him, his muscles in healthy condition, and she's always checking on him. So it's a good team to have. Yeah, and they come in all the time checking on him. They watch him train. They're super nice people. So I'm very excited for them. They're ecstatic right now. They're very happy to be here too.
Yeah, you're very enthusiastic when you talk about any horse, Krista, and talking about the game in general, and you've mentioned the word luck a few times, right? Maybe the luck will be on your side, and you're blessed to have all of these different people cheering for you and contacting you and wishing you good luck. Are you superstitious in any way? Do you have a routine on game day, if you will?
No, I don't. Or a lot of people are, but I don't know. I'm not. I just come in and take care of my horses.
Where will you watch the race today?
I have a great staff, so I'll be on the apron because I like to scream and call my horse's name as they're coming, and the jockeys. They usually hear me. They always say, "Krista, we could hear you yelling for us." I said, "I know, and it made you go faster."
Well, you're going to have a big crowd there today. You're going to have to scream really loud.
Oh, I will. I will. I might not be able to talk later, but I'll be doing it because I'm in another stake earlier today too. I'm in the King Edward with a really nice horse I have.
Yeah, tell me more about that race.
It'll be an exciting day. Wicked Django, he's on the turf. It's going to be poured rain here a minute ago, so I'm hoping it holds off for the rest of the day.
What's the forecast?
I really like that horse. He's a nice horse. They said there could be scattered showers throughout the day, but it's iffy. It keeps changing. 1 minute it was a lot of rain, and then it was a little rain. So it's. I don't want it to be too soft. He's a nice big horse, but he tries. He comes from off the pace, and I think it'll set up good for him because there's a lot of speed in that race, and he'll sit off it and then come flying. That's his step. That's what he does best.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to worry about Paramount Prince, right?
No, he's not in there. But we do have to worry about the other Cassie horse, so that's a nice horse.
Yeah.
Very nice horse.
Yeah. Wicked Django is only 15-1 on the morning line. So if you compare him to Thor's Cause, he's like the favorite in there.
Right, I know. But he's ran in stakes before and hit the board. He's ran in graded stakes, and he's already won 2 maiden special weight and allowance, so he kind of proved that he belongs.
Yeah.
And Thor's he's there, but he hasn't shone yet. But he'll have his time.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a fantastic race, too. It's part of a great day at Woodbine today. That's race number 8.
Yeah, I'm in the double king races.
yeah, the King Edward and the King's Plate. Krista, you mentioned Wicked Django has proven that he belongs. Now, when you walk into the paddock for the King's Plate and you lead Thor's Cause in there, you're going to be looking at horses trained by Mark Cassey. He'll be there. You're going to have Kevin Attard, who is always so tough to beat in all those races in Canada. And then here you come with Thor's Cause. When you walk into a scene like that, what's it like for a trainer who is trying to pull off a huge upset?
It's exciting, but I'm around these guys all the time, and they're wonderful people. So they're just like everybody else. They're great people. I'm actually right beside Kevin. His barn's right there, and Cassie's right across the road, and they do fantastic jobs. But I'd still like to beat them.
Yeah, you talk a little smack with Kevin before you come over?
No, he's a good guy. We make jokes, but he's a good guy. I like Kevin. He's smart.
Yeah, he's been on this program
all his success
many, many times. And just so you know, I could have asked him to join me this morning. I said, no, I want Krista Cole to join me here on the show, not Kevin Attard.
Did you tell him that?
No, I didn't. But I was between the two of you when I was reaching out to guests, and I said, you know what? Kevin's on all the time. Let's get Krista on to tell her story. And Krista, I have not been disappointed. It's been so much fun to catch up with you, and I want to wish you all the best with both runners today, including Thor's Cause and the King's Plate.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
All right, Krista Cole trying to pull off that massive upset, and a minor upset, if you will, a much lesser upset in the King Edward, if she can find a way to do that. But a big day for her, and, yeah, her enthusiasm, right? It's contagious. It really is. She's excited. She's pumped up, as she should be, and this is nothing new for her. She has dreamt about this moment, as you heard her say, since she was a little kid. All she wanted to do was be around horses, and that's what she has done. And now she has an opportunity to add her name to some illustrious company. And you heard her say, Thor's cause, he'll be higher than 50-1. He might be 70, 80, 90-1. Didn't bother our Kong in the Breeders' Cup Classic, did it? It can happen. He's in the race. That's all you can ask for. And we'll see if he can pull off a shocker shortly after 6:10 Eastern. My thanks to Krista for being with me here this morning. Ian Wilkes is coming up next. He knows a thing or two about winning big races. He's getting ready for the Grade 1 Alabama at Saratoga. Stay tuned. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Live racing at Ellis Park runs July 4th through August 26th with the first post of 12:50 p.m. Eastern, Saturday through Monday. Highlights include a record $3.7 million in stakes purses across 18 races, including Kentucky Downs Preview Weekend, August 3rd and 4th, and Ellis Park Derby Day on Sunday, August 11th. Average daily purses are more than $615,000. For more information, visit ellisparkracing.com. Purses powered by the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund.
There are thrills around every turn at Gulfstream Park with heart-pounding horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Join us in 10 Palms Restaurant for an elevated view of the track or take in the races at the Carousel Club, trackside. Come out on Saturdays and enjoy high-quality stakes races and join us all summer long for an expanded event schedule. Simulcast opportunities 7 days a week. For reservations, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Colonial Downs summer racing season is here. Weekend racing returns with afternoon racing on Thursdays and Saturdays and a new late afternoon post of 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Fridays. Back is our popular 12% takeout pick 5, now offered twice daily. Join us for our biggest day of the season on August 10th at 1 p.m. for Colonial Downs Festival of Racing, featuring 7 stakes races, including the Grade 1 Arlington Million. And then September 7th, we'll wrap up the season with the Virginia Derby. Colonial Downs, rich history, bright future.
It's time now to shine the spotlight on the Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week.
Randomized, still loaded with a furlong left to go. And she has a 3-length lead. Wet Paint is trying her best, and so is Defining Purpose. But today's the day for Randomized. It's her coming out party in the Alabama, presented by Keeneland Sales. She made every pole a winning one.
Rewinding the clock to last year's Grade 1 Alabama, where Randomized, the daughter of Darley Stallion Nyquist, rolled to a 4-length victory for owners Klarovich Stables and trainer Chad Brown. That impressive win makes her your Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week. Darley Stallion Nyquist. He made the fastest start at stud of any U.S. stallion ever and has already sired 2 Grade 1 winners in 2024, including last year's Alabama winner, Randomized. Don't miss his yearling selling at Keeneland next month. Learn more about Nyquist and all the Darley Stallions by visiting DarleyAmerica.com.
It's time to go down the road to the Breeders' Cup on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Fort Lana the leader. Mucho Macho Man, and now Game On Dude can go on. Game On Dude not going on. Flat Out is coming after them in the center, but it is Fort Lana digging deep. He's trying to hold on. Fort Lana along the inside. Mucho Macho Man right up alongside of him. What a thriller in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Fort Lana digs deep. Mucho Macho Man, it's nose and nose to the wire. Fort Larned has won it. That move on the far turn, the deciding factor. Fort Larned and Brian Hernandez have won it. Mucho Macho Man. Then it'll be flat out Richard's Kid running on late.
Well, that's the way it sounded 12 years ago from Trevor Denman in the Breeders' Cup Classic. A huge effort from Fort Larned to get the victory for trainer Ian Wilkes. It was a special, special day for him. And what a way to welcome him to the program as we go down the road to the Breeders' Cup on this Saturday morning here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Ian, good morning, my friend.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, a little trip down memory lane for you. What was going through your mind as you were listening to Trevor call that race?
Boy, they brought back the goosebumps. You know, that brings back some memories. You know, that's great. You know, it just seems like it was yesterday.
I could not believe, as I was going through and pulling up that clip, I couldn't believe it's been 12 years.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where does time go? You know, when you think back on that moment, Ian, what was that night or that afternoon like for you?
Oh, it was unreal. You know, so surreal. You know, you just have to keep pinching yourself. You know, did I really do it? Did I do it? You know, did the horse do it? You know, it was just a fantastic moment.
Do you ever go back and watch replays of that race?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yeah, look, yeah, you do. You always do. You know, you'll pull it up and you'll watch it, and you're trying to find the next one. You know, you're always looking for that next one.
What was it that made Fort Larned so special?
He was fast. He could go a mile in 1:34 and open up on horses after that. He's just so naturally fast horse. He's very gifted that way. When he was right, I really felt no one in the country could beat him when he was right.
Yeah, and he had a pretty good jockey aboard him, too, and Brian Hernandez Jr., and that was before Brian became the Kentucky Oaks, Kentucky Derby winning jockey that he is here in 2024. How cool is it for you to watch him have that kind of success now?
He's done okay for himself, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's going to turn out to be okay.
No, it's special, you know. You know, it's great to see. You know, well deserved. He works hard. He studies. You know, he puts a lot into it. You know, so that was fantastic for him.
Yeah, that was my next question. What did you see in him back 12 years ago that led you to say, okay, you're the one who's getting the leg up on Fort Larned?
Yeah, it's funny. You know, he'd always work with us. I thought he was a very smart jockey. You know, and goes to a lot of the jocks. If you get the right horse, it's amazing what they can show you they can do, you know. And I just thought he fitted Fort Larned. I thought they matched well, and it was so we just always kept him there. You know, when we found that little niche there, that was a good thing.
He got another good one coming up later today in the Grade 1 Alabama at Saratoga. Just Basking, who dominated the Iowa Oaks last time out at Prairie Meadows, won that race by nearly 5 lengths. Let's start there. Tell me about that performance and share your thoughts on the way she delivered that day.
Yeah, very pleased with her that day. It was like her coming out, showing where she should be, because I thought, you know, she won the mile and a quarter well. She won it easy. She can get a strong mile and a quarter. Then I thought she really got confused against winners the first time. I thought, you know, they went slow. She just didn't, what's happening? I'm not running by him, you know. And then the last 100 yards, she caught on and she finished it off. But come out of that, and she trained really well. And she showed it at Iowa, where she tracked up really well and won with some authority. And I was very impressed with that.
You just used a term that I haven't heard many trainers use when I've had them on the program over the years. You said she was a bit confused in her first try with winners. How does a horse get confused? What does that mean?
Well, it's a case of, you know, she's beaten horses easy. You know, sometimes horses have to learn how to run against better horses. And good horses, they'll school you if you don't learn how to dig deeper, get a different kind of fitness, you know, because you can beat maidens. That's easy. You know, that's not a hard thing to do. But when you've got to step up and run against good horses, it's a different kettle of fish. So it put a little schooling on her, but she come through it with flying colours.
What do you think she learned in that first try with winners that helped her when she came back and dominated the Iowa Oaks?
I felt she got some confidence, got a different kind of fitness, and got, mentally got stronger.
Such a big key, isn't it? The mental side. We talk about the physical side and a horse having a great pedigree and looking like an athlete and performing well physically, but that mental side when you're dealing with thoroughbreds, Ian, is massive, isn't it?
Oh, it's a big part of it. If they're mentally not into it, it don't matter how fit you get them. You've got to keep a happy horse and just get them like what they're doing. And I think that's the biggest key.
So that race was on July 6th, the Iowa Oaks. Tell me about what the past several weeks have been like for Just Basking.
I thought her training has gone to another level after that Iowa Oaks. Even going into it, I thought she trained very well. But I'm very pleased in the way her energy, her, everything coming together, the way she worked in company. I was very pleased to see that. And she got a little tougher, a little mentally tougher in her works. Instead of, okay, you can have it today. No, she's the one putting it to the other horses.
Well, and she'll have to be tough today because you look up and you see the entries, and of course you're going to see Todd Pletcher well represented. He sends out Candied, the 7-5 morning line favorite. He also has Miss Justify in here. Size up the competition a little bit for me, Ian. You have to beat all of them, but tell me about some of the ones that you're going to have your eye on.
Well, you could make a case. There's 8 fillies in there. You could make a case for any one of the 8 to win the race. You go with Candy. She's been running against Torpedo Anna. Everyone's been running second to her or third or fourth. She's been the head of the class, Torpedo Anna. And so it's a well-matched field here. And it's just who can get the mile and a quarter strong. That's the key, How much pace will be in there, that's what you don't know. It doesn't look like there's a lot signed on in here. And that's where, the rider's got to ride his race to see where, if they go slow, we'll be closer. If they go fast, we'll be a little further back.
We talked about jockey Brian Hernandez Jr. a short time ago as we were discussing Fort Larned. You're going to give a leg up for the third consecutive race to jockey Chris Landeros. Are you the type of trainer that likes to give a lot of instructions in the pre-race routine, or do you just give him a leg up and say, Chris, you know this filly, go get him?
No, you don't like to give a lot because when you get to this stage, if I've got to give a lot, I've got the wrong rider. You know what I mean? They know the horse. They know what we need to do. He's been working the filly, so no, it's all up to him and the horse, Just give her every chance. Mm-hmm.
Ian, it's been well documented, your longtime friendship with your mentor, Carl Nafsker. He's just such a wonderful person. He's been on this program many times over the years, and I was flipping back through the history of the Alabama Stakes as I was preparing to talk with you, and I noticed that in 1998, Carl won the race for the first time with a filly named Banshee Breeze. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you were still with him at that time, right?
Oh, yeah. I've been with Carl. I was here in 89, 90. Then I come back and ever since 93. And I was with him from 93 until I took over training in 2006.
How special was Banshee Breeze?
Carl will tell you it's probably one of the best horses he's ever trained. She was very good. She was tough. She was something special, and he's always said that it's one of the best horses he's trained.
Do you remember that day that she won the Alabama?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She was. She's a very good filly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was Carl's first win. He came back with a second one in 2007 with Lady Joanne, and I remember that day very well.
Yeah. She was. we wanted to run her in the Oaks, and we got sidetracked early in the year, so then we just pointed for the Alabama. Just put everything into trying to win the Alabama with her because we wanted to go to the Oaks with her, but we had a little mishap early in the year. So, but she wasn't easy to train. She was very tough to train, that filly.
Yeah, Just Basking is not going to have her name mentioned alongside Banshee Breeze at this point in her career. But, Ian, are you seeing certain signs from her that lead you to believe, okay, maybe down the road we could be talking about Just Basking as one of the really, really good fillies in the sport of thoroughbred racing?
Yeah, that's she could be. You know, she's got to step up and prove it, you know, and she's got a long way to go yet. I don't know how good she is yet because she just keeps improving. She hasn't hit a ceiling yet. And, you know, she has to show me how far we're going to go with her, you know, and definitely the distance will not be an issue for her.
Yeah, this segment is Road to the Breeders' Cup, and we're still several months away from that date at Del Mar. But is that something that's even on your radar at this point, or do you have to see how things go this afternoon?
No, I haven't thought that far yet. Take this race first, and then let's evaluate after this.
Well, Ian Wilkes, as good as it gets, 910 career victories coming into today as runners have earned more than $56 million in purses, and he's looking to add to that total with Just Basking in the Grade 1 Alabama. Ian, we'll be watching. All the best, my friend. It's been great to catch up and really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
All right, good luck, buddy. Been a long time, too, since I've had anybody on this program that's called me mate. I love that. Fantastic. Good stuff from Ian Wilkes. And, yeah, Just Basking. Listen, she's talented, right? And you heard Ian talk about the mental side of it and how I love the way he described her getting a schooling, as he put it, getting confused in her first race with Winners back on June 1st at Churchill after breaking her maiden at 1 1/4. Then she comes back at 1 1/8 in that first try with Winners. And he talked about the fact that good horses, when you're facing Winners, they can school you. And Just Basking learned her lessons really well because she came back in her next start at the Iowa Oaks and wins by almost 5 lengths. And today she looks to build upon that performance. Ian just told you she hasn't hit the ceiling yet. There's still more to come from this filly. Is she capable of knocking off horses like Candied in this spot this afternoon? We'll find out. The Alabama set to go this afternoon is race number 10, 5:43 Eastern. 2:43 for those of you tuned in to us here on the West Coast. So keep that in mind. 1 1/4 on the main track at the Spa in upstate New York. When I come back, we'll turn our attention westward. We'll go to Del Mar. I'll talk to trainer Phil Bauer about Buku going in today's Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks. This is the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Join us at Kentucky Downs August 29th through September 11th, showcasing 7 days of racing with $34 million in purses, including the world's richest maiden races at $170,000 for Kentucky breds. The meet boasts the largest field sizes in America with 6 $2 million stakes races on September 7th and 15 of 18 stakes worth at least $1 million for Kentucky breds. Also on September 7th is the FanDuel TV U.S. Open Turf Championships, including 2 Breeders' Cup win-and-you're-in races. Reserved seats on sale at the KentuckyDowns.com. There's Unique, and there's Kentucky Downs.
Monmouth Park's summer season rolls on with live racing action starting at 12:50 every weekend. Monmouth's 2023 season featured its highest average field size since 2015, the perfect recipe for a prolific payday. With a stakes race every Saturday and Sunday, plus the Win Early Pick 5, Monmouth Park is your summer place to profit. Attending on site? Lock in your odds with fixed odds wagering at Monmouth Park Racetrack. For more information, visit our website at monmouthpark.com.
Get ready for the biggest night of racing in Charlestown history on Friday, August 23rd. It's the Grade 2 $1 million Charlestown Classic and Grade 2 $750,000 Charlestown Oaks, now the richest sprint race for 3-year-old fillies in North America. The spectacular card features 6 stakes races worth $2.9 million. The action gets started with a special first post time of 5 o'clock Eastern. It's the Grade 2 Charlestown Classic and Grade 2 Charlestown Oaks on Friday, August 23rd here at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races.
In 1993, Dr. John West showed that EIPH occurs during exercise when the blood vessels in the lung rupture. This is due to stress caused by high blood pressures on the inside of the vessel and strong suction forces on the outside. Only flare strips and Lasix, used together or alone, have ever been clinically proven to reduce EIPH. Lasix works by reducing the high internal vessel pressure, and flare strips work by reducing the suction forces on the outside of the vessel. See the science at flarestrips.com.
This is Woodbine Week on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
The thrill of world-class racing now at Toronto's Woodbine Racetrack. With live racing Thursday through Sunday, you can enjoy the best turf racing around with daily action over the famed E.P. Taylor Turf Course. Join us this Saturday, August 17th for the King's Plate. First post is 12:25 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sunday, September 14th, join us for 3 Grade 1 Breeders' Cup win and you're in races with the Woodbine Mile, the Talma Stakes, and Summer Stakes. For wagering updates, handicapping tips, racing news, and more, visit woodbine.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN. Presented by TwinSpires.
Buku, being asked to run, has to go to the far outside, still 7 lengths off the lead as they turn for home. Poolside with Slim has the lead. Carriou tries to move up the inside. Buku and Mo Fox Given toward the outside, then Simply in front, who's running late. Here comes Buku coming forward to challenge Poolside with Slim. Mo Fox Given, then Dancing and Dixie, who's fourth on the outside. Buku in front. Mo Fox Given. Dancing and Dixie is running on. Buku in front. Buku wins the Appalachian, presented by Japan Racing Association for Martin Garcia.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna with you up until 11 a.m. Eastern, as always, on this Saturday morning. That was Kurt Becker with the call of the Grade 2 Appalachian Stakes at Keeneland back on April 6th. A massive win for Buku, who goes to the post later today in the Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks. She's looking for her first victory since that winning effort 4 starts ago. Does it come today at Del Mar? Well, her trainer, Phil Bauer, is certainly hoping that it does, and he's with us now here on HRRN. Phil, good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
You know, you love to celebrate big wins with a shot of Fireball. So is the Fireball flowing after the Del Mar Oaks later today?
We certainly hope so. It's, I think a pretty evenly matched race, top to bottom, and I think, she fits if she runs her best. So hopefully she's willing to do it, and we'll celebrate for sure.
I remember talking with you last year about Buku. That was going into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf, and I know you were super high on her coming out of that win in the Jesma Stakes prior to that effort. You've always thought that this filly could be special, but it seems like she's just struggling to put it all together consistently. So what's the key to her getting it right today?
If we scripted it up, it would be a race full of pace, and I think that's kind of the key to some of her best races, is that she has some pace in front of her, and horses have to come back a little bit. She always seems to come with her same kick, but it's just more potent when there's some pace that she can run at.
Do you see enough pace in today's race to set it up for her?
I think there's a chance that there could be, but I guess I'm a little concerned that another horse that was on the nom list that didn't go in there would have ensured that today. So, it's coming out of that chute. Hopefully we'll have some, but we're going to ride her the same way that we always do, and just hope things go our way today.
Talk about the decision to ship all the way out to Del Mar for this particular race.
I think we'll find out today what the California horses are, comparing them to the East Coast. But we just felt like some superior horses were over here, and The fact that it was a grade 1, we wanted to swing at it, and I think it came up like a realistic spot, and that was the main thinking is she's got a couple grade 2 wins to her resume. Let's see if we can't get some grade 1 win or at least placing and kind of add to her page.
Does the fact that the Breeders' Cup is going to be held at Del Mar in November, does that play into the decision-making process to send her out there at this point in the season?
I don't know if she needs to get a little faster numbers-wise to point towards the Breeders' Cup. So I think our Breeders' Cup is going to be the QE2 at Keeneland, knowing that she loves it on that course, and that I think that'll be her Breeders' Cup this year. Now, maybe she'll prove me wrong today, but I think she just needs to get a little bit faster to compete in the Breeders' Cup.
You mentioned her graded stakes victories, and she does have those 2 grade 2 wins to her credit. She's a 3-time winner overall. Jockey Martin Garcia has been aboard for all 3 of those victories. He gets the leg up again this afternoon. That has to make you pretty happy, too.
Yeah, they get along great. Martin's very high on the filly, and it always helps when the pilot's got some added confidence. So he's familiar with Del Mar, and he's familiar with our fillies. So I think hopefully it'll be back to a winning combination.
Yeah, I mean, and look, last time out, the Hall of Famer Joel Rosario was the jockey. It's not like you lose anything putting Joel Rosario up. But, Phil, is there something to be said for having a jockey that just, for whatever reason, fits your horse like a glove, if you will?
Absolutely. I think it's something that maybe familiarity helps, but sometimes there's horses that just prefer a particular style. But it's like you said, there's so many good jockeys out there that, Martin, he just fits her so well that I think, putting them back together, hopefully it's the right move.
I'm talking with trainer Phil Bauer here on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Phil, you are not at Del Mar. You are still at Saratoga. And for good reason. You have a couple of maidens running today, Jonathan's Way and Johnny's Rendezvous. So tell me about those 2 horses. And you must be pretty high on them if you didn't make the trip out for a Grade 1 race.
Yeah, it was a discussion me and Mr. Rigney had that, being that they're first-time starters and the environment up here at Saratoga is so different, I felt more confident just staying here and making sure everything went well. The horses are training great. Jonathan's Way, he's probably a little superior on the dirt comparing the 2. That's why we're trying Johnny on the grass, and hopefully a clean break today. And he's got a good post. The race came up pretty salty, but you expect that here. So if anything, we'll get a good gauge on how good he really is, because we think he's pretty good. So I'm excited to give him a run.
Yeah, doesn't that, even if they don't win at Saratoga, don't you find that at least you'll walk away knowing, okay, we know where we stand, at least at this point in the horse's career. We ran them against the best, because you're always racing against the nuts, if you will, when you go to Saratoga. So at least you'll walk away going, all right, we didn't win, but, man, we know where we stack up now, and that helps us moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everything is, you can only compare your horses to your own in the morning unless you find some company. But I think we got a pretty good gauge on his ability. So hopefully, like you said, I think there's enough horses in the race today that should be taking a step forward off their first start. So they're a quality group. So definitely win, lose, or draw, we'll just I think we'll walk away with a clearer picture of what the rest of the year has for us.
Yeah, Phil, I love asking this next question to trainers. I do it quite often here on the program because the answers are always so different. How long does it take Phil Bauer to know if a young horse has what it takes to be, I won't even say a great racehorse, because that's a term that's reserved for only the best of the best, but if a young horse can really run, how long does it take you to know?
I think it's fairly quickly. There's been some that surprise you that they just don't show much, and then you run them and they have the light bulb moment. But this horse tipped his hand even down in Ocala when he was being broke. That hey, he's kind of one of the better ones in the group. Just more precocious, and they just seem to do everything right and do it easier than others. And we've been high on him since John bought him as a weanling physically, and then when you went to see him in Ocala, he was taking the right steps forward. And then once you put him in a breeze program, and when he came into Churchill, you thought, well, I think we should probably take him up north with us because he acts like he's okay.
Yeah, that's Jonathan's Way in race number 1 at Saratoga today. And then, as you mentioned, Johnny's Rendezvous on the also eligible list in race 2 going on the turf. What is it about him that you've noticed that says, okay, he fits at Saratoga?
He actually did draw in today, so he will run.
Oh, perfect.
His daily training impresses you. His energy, his attitude. He's kind of more immature mentally, but he just has raw ability. And the breezes on the dirt were good, but just not as good as a couple others that we had. So the nice thing about Saratoga is, hey, let's give him a try on the grass. And he walked away that day thinking, oh, boy, he looked totally different looking work. Just visually, the horse just seemed to love it. So I think, it might take him 1 or 2 to figure it out mentally, but I think the horse has got ability. And an outside post, he should get the type of trip that's not too overwhelming for him if he's able to break sharp and maybe just track some leaders and hopefully have enough fitness to do the mile on the 16th. And, we're excited to get them both running.
Phil, tell me about how special this relationship is that you've established with the Rigneys. It's been many years now, and I know you continue to have success with them. How special is it?
I tell people it's the position I'm in is truly a dream come true. Not only just the job I have, but the friendship that we've been able to develop, and now the success that we're having. It's kind of cherry on the top that he's very generous person, but just at the same time, you very grateful that he's stuck with me through all the years early on where we were struggling a little bit to find our stride. So we grew closer, and it's been a lot of fun the last couple of years once John started selecting our horses, and just have some really serious race horses.
Yeah, the relationship began, if I'm remembering it correctly, back when you were working with trainer Kenny McPeak as his assistant, and I'll ask you about that too. How cool is it to see what Kenny was able to accomplish this year and what he still may accomplish?
It's phenomenal. I think probably put him in the Hall of Fame, winning the Oaks and the Derby like that, and then I actually watched that filly work this morning for the Travers next weekend, and she is pretty special horse. So very happy for that team. They've, there's a lot of people that have been with Kenny a long time, so I was glad to see him have the success this year. And, that filly might be able to do it next weekend. It'll be pretty cool to watch, and definitely good for the industry.
I've seen a lot of positive things out there about that work this morning for Torpedo Anna. What was your assessment?
She's just freak athlete. She just does everything so easy, and then once the work's done, the gallop out, it's like she hadn't even done anything. So she's definitely one that I would love to have in my barn, but she's special. You don't come across many like that, so I think the boys have the work cut out for them next weekend.
Phil, always a pleasure to catch up, my friend. It's great to hear your voice. Good luck later today with Buku and, of course, the maidens at Saratoga, and good luck going forward as we make our way down the road to the Breeders' Cup.
Thanks so much. Always good visiting with you, and hope to see you soon.
You too, buddy. Phil Bauer here on the Horse Racing Radio Network does a fantastic job in training for the Rigneys, and you heard him talk about that relationship and how special it is. He's looking to add another chapter, another positive note to their next chapter here together when Buku goes to the post in that Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks. 12-1 on the morning line in that race this afternoon. When I come back, I'll take a quick look at a historical date in racing history or two. I'll give you an update on the poll question and get you ready for hour number 3. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
I'm 54, so basically, it's too late to start saving for retirement, right?
Not right. Starting to save, even in your 50s, can really make a difference.
Well, right now, saving seems hard to wrap my head around. Plus, with the way this year's been going...
Hey, listen, it's okay. You still got this. Just go to aceyourretirement.org. It's an online tool from AARP that can help you get your retirement savings on track no matter your age. It's free and only takes about 3 minutes.
I like 3 minutes.
Yeah, at aceyourretirement.org, you'll chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer a few questions and you'll get a personalized plan and tips to help boost your retirement savings. Tips that are easy to understand and tailored to your lifestyle.
I like that too.
Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Just head to aceyourretirement.org and make your plan to start saving for retirement.
Thanks.
That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is jockey Brian Hernandez. For me, there's no bigger thrill than crossing the finish line in front, and nobody captures the excitement of our sport like Horse Racing Radio Network. Each week, HRRN brings you exclusive talk shows, podcasts, and in-depth conversations with the biggest names in racing, jockeys, trainers, owners, and more. Plus, HRRN is committed to helping disabled riders through their support of the PDJF. So climb aboard a winner today by visiting horseracingradio.net.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Well, the poll question this morning asking you who is your pick to win today's King's Plate at Woodbine. My Boy Prince, the favorite, getting 35% of the vote, and that is down from the 50% he was receiving earlier in the poll. 30% of you now saying it is somebody other than My Boy Prince, Essex Serpent, and Caitlin Her Greatness, the filly. 30% of you thinking it might be somebody other than those three, but it is My Boy Prince leading the way at this point. You can go to @HRRN on Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook to cast your vote and let us know who you think is going to walk away with the top prize in today's King's Plate. Time now to take a look at a couple dates in racing history as they apply to this particular weekend. Let's start with yesterday. It was August 16th, 1930, that Triple Crown winner Gallant Fox was beaten by 100-1 shot Jim Dandy in the Travers Stakes at Saratoga. Again, August 16th, 1930. In terms of today, it was August 17th, 1977, that jockey Steve Cawthon rode Affirmed for the first time, winning the Sanford Stakes at Saratoga by 2 3/4 lengths. And August 17th, 2000, that lovable loser in thoroughbred racing history, Zippy Chippy, a loser of all 86 of his lifetime starts, was defeated again, this time by minor league baseball player Jose Herrera in a 40-yard dash. The race was called, if you remember, the 2000 Red Wings Derby, and it was held prior to a home game of the International League's Rochester Red Wings. August 17th, 2000. Rest in peace, Zippy Chippy. All right, 2 hours down, 1 to go here on the Equine Forum, and it's a busy third hour of the program. I'm going to tell you about it next. Be sure to stay with me for hour number 3. If your local station is leaving us at this time, continue listening to the third hour of the program nationwide on Sirius 162 XM 207, in the Louisville, Kentucky market on ESPN 680, or stream us at horseracingradio.net. Hour 3 of the Equine Forum is coming up next, right after I pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
And here she comes. Songbird's got a 4-length lead as they come into the final furlong. Mike Smith just shakes the reins at Songbird. Going for broke, has made progress up into second inside a family tree, but they're 6 lengths behind Songbird at the 16th pole. It is Songbird, this magnificent filly, winning the Alabama. She is a perfect 10.
An Evening Jewel bursts through on the inside. Here's Harmonious, white cap, grandstand side. Perfect Shirl is running a big one too, but it's Evening Jewel. Harmonious drifting out. Evening Jewel, Harmonious, Evening Jewel, and Victor Espinosa have won the Del Mar Oaks.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
And Code of Honor has a 3-length lead. In the center of the track, Magic Michael. That is Fat Man in second. Down at the rail, West Willpower is in third. It is Code of Honor. Code of Honor. Too classy for them in the Island.
Paramount Prince in front. A full-on to run. Dashed away for Patrick Husbands. Elysian Field in second. Stanley House in third. But Paramount Prince, Prince becomes the king. Paramount Prince wins the 164th King's Plate.
Now here's Mike Penna.
Welcome back, Hour 3 of the Equine Forum. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch. Happy to have you along for the ride. Of course, this entire 3-hour program presented every week by our friends at TwinSpires. And boy, has it been a busy first 2 hours of the show. If you missed any portion of my conversations talking about the Alabama at Saratoga, talking about the King's Plate up in Canada, and talking about the Del Mar Oaks out on the West Coast, all you have to do is head back to our website, horseracingradio.net. You can listen to the podcast whenever you have some time, and you can do that, too, on every podcast platform. Don't forget to follow us on social media, at HRRN on X, formerly Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, YouTube, and on Instagram. And speaking of social media, so many of you taking time to weigh in on the poll question here this morning. Pretty simple. Who is your pick to win today's King's Plate at Woodbine? Of course, this is Woodbine Week. We are concluding Woodbine Week here on the network. We've been celebrating the grand history and the tradition of the King's Plate all week long throughout all of our programs, and we wrap it up with that poll question here this morning. Who is your pick to win today's King's Plate? You can head back to our website or head back to our social media pages to weigh in on that question, and you can do that, too, via email, mike@horseracingradio.net, the way to get in touch with the show. All right, Hour 3 going to begin momentarily with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History, coming up at 10:20. And at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. But we begin, as we do every week, with the TwinSpires Triple Play. And doing the honors for us this week, making his maiden start here on the Horse Racing Radio Network, is Kevin Kilroy. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Thanks for bringing me on. It's going to be fun to hash out a few of these races and to see if we can make some money today at Ellis.
Yeah, excited to have you in the starting gate with me here this morning, and really looking forward to the 3 races you've selected. We were kind of talking about this after you had sent me your 3 selections. I think you used the word chaos in describing what we might see in these races, meaning they are so wide open, there's probably value to be had in all three.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things I'm looking for when I'm handicapping is sort of what's the easy story to tell ourselves? You know, what's the easy story that handicappers will sort of be able to find in the horses, and who's the likely winner? And if you don't really see an easy story, it's probably a good chance that race is chaos and there's opportunity for value. And you know, Mike, sometimes with these races where you find these sort of situations, you're going to get better value in these multi-race wagers than you might expect, even if you're not too clever or creative. So I think we're going to lean on that and take a look at these turf races here at Ellis today.
Yeah, and a good multi-race wager to focus on, too. Race 4, Race 7, and Race 9 are all going to be run on the turf at Ellis Park later this afternoon, and there is a $3 all-turf pick 3. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, this is a great wager. So, you know, we've got the spectrum of, you know, you got 20 cent pick 6 with the Dade Park pick 6, where that invites a lot of bettors in to the pool. $3, you've got to be a little bit more discerning in sort of how you build your ticket before you get too big, right? But the payouts have been fantastic with this wager. It's just really fun to just focus on turf races, especially when you're finding full fields like we've got here at Ellis and finding chaos. So $3 is the base. It can escalate pretty quick, and we'll try to skinny up in a few of these legs so we don't get too deep into our pockets. But you know, we're seeing in between $300 to $900 payouts in this wager pretty regularly, and it's a nice way to spread some action across the card.
All right, let's kick it off with race number 4. Post time 2:21 Eastern, so 1:21 locally at Ellis Park. 1 mile on the turf course at the Pea Patch. It's a maiden optional claiming event. $44,000 purse for this one. How'd you see it?
Yeah, we got 2-year-olds, right? We not only have 2-year-olds here, they are going long. They're on the turf, and we've got a good amount of first-time starters. This is one of the races where we've got the morning line favorite 5-2 with Broadway Lights, right? Brad Cox. It's got this twirling candy filly, Gary Mary West homebred. You just know that bettors are going to lean on this, right? We just have nothing to really lean on in terms of form, right? A lot of first-time starters, 2-year-olds, et cetera. So if we can beat this one, I think we can get some value pretty quick. And there's nothing that I'm seeing from this one except for the connections that makes me think that this is a slam dunk. Florent Giroux's up, Broadway Lights. You know, Cox is definitely good going long, but I think we can try to beat this one. Triumphant Spirit, the number 6. Have loved what I've seen from Brendan Walsh's barn in terms of the 2-year-olds. No surprise, right? That a lot of owners have looked to Walsh to bring their 2-year-olds to him after the success he had last year with Pretty Mischievous and all the success he's had. He's done great. So Edgar Morale is up. He's been riding the turf course fantastic. And Triumphant Spirit is by War of Will. We've seen War of Wills get it done, stretching out on debut. I think they've been quite impressive. Saw one at Saratoga get it done yesterday for Cassie. So got to use the 6. Definitely want to use these second-time starters. Ibuki from Rudy Brisset, fantastic trainer, stretching out. Second asking is his strength for sure. 29% of the last 35. Then Lady Riley from Chris Davis. Similar, not stretching out, has already gone 2 turns. Didn't take any money on debut, but second asking, I think it's just one where you really want to take a good look at Chris Davis's runner. So she's got one over the track, and I think she can improve off of that. So give me the 3, 4, and the 6. If I wanted to spread deeper, Jewish Mother is a Catholic boy who's stretching out for the first time for Steve Hobby. And Divine Arch seems a little sneaky. Jesus Esquivel's preservationist. So those would be the ones that I'd include as well if I wanted to go a little deeper.
All right, and top pick, number 6, Triumphant Spirit.
Triumphant Spirit, top pick. Loving what I'm seeing from Walsh and Morales. He's just been locked in on this turf course. He had a day where he won all 3 races on the course. So he's been riding fantastic.
Yeah, the son of Claiborne Stallion, War of Will, Triumphant Spirit, number 6, 7-2 on the morning line in race number 4. And Kevin gave you a couple of other horses to keep in mind if you're going to be playing that $3 all-turf pick 3. Race number 7 is the second leg of that wager. Another turf event going 1 mile on the turf, and it is a $16,000 non-winners of 2 lifetime claiming event. How'd you see this one, Kevin?
Well, I think, bettors are going to lean on Asmussen's Perceptive, right? Just broke the maiden last time, moving back to the turf. Asmussen's been sending out a bunch of winners. Want to try to beat that one. I think people get defensive with Maker, with She's Magic, just because Maker just does so good with moving horses over the turf. So I think there's a couple in there, and Grand Perigal, I think, is another one. Moquette's winner who comes back pretty quick after that maiden win. I think we'll see some action on those if we can get away from those. Even though we've got logicals in here, I think we can make this bet worthwhile. Izzy's Bolt from Juan Cano and No Shook for Pop are my top two plays in here. They're both taking class drops, both exiting that same race July 4th here at Ellis Park. Have good spacing after, specifically with Izzy's Bolt, my top pick in here. Came back pretty quick after moving forward there on June 20th. Now we've got good spacing, moving over the turf. Both the Oros have been fantastic on the turf. And this one's, fairly unexposed and gets Axel Concepcion up, another rider on the turf course who has just been live left and right and has been riding lights out. So I think we can see another move forward if we can just draw a line through that last effort. And pretty much the same story from No Shook for Pop. That one turf effort was the best race that I've seen from this hard-sprung filly. And if we can just draw a line through that sloppy effort last time, third start in the form cycle, coming out for Colebrook with Alex Ashard up, this one makes sense. So I want to use both of those. If you put a gun in my head, I'd take the 3, Izzy's Bolt, to get through this leg. Second leg, Ultra Pick 3.
3-1 on the morning line for Izzy's Bolt. And I want to know the story behind the name No Shug for Pop. Is that just a case where the owner's dad wasn't a big fan of Shug McGahee?
Right? What else we got there?
Yeah, I don't know. I have, and that very well could be the case. I have no idea where that name came from. It's all one word, by the way. NOSHUGFORPOP. No Shug for Pop. 7-2 on the morning line, and the second pick for Kevin Kilroy on this week's TwinSpires triple play. But he'll stick with number 3, Izzy's Bolt, at 3-1 as his top pick in the second leg of the all-turf pick 3 race number 7. Don't forget, too, if you're playing that wager or any wager later today, you're going to want to do it at TwinSpires. So make sure you're logging on and doing that with our friends at TwinSpires. Race number 9 is the final leg. It is a 1-mile event on the turf. Optional claimer, $20,000, purse of $33K. Kevin, who wins this one?
Yeah, I think we can get some value for sure in this one. I think Prodigious Bay is going to take a lot of money. Asmussen's runner in here, the morning line favorite. I see him as a need to lead, right? If they let him go, then dang, we're gonna watch our money burn up behind a slow pace sort of scenario. But a need to lead type, I like to try to take a swing against. And Voodoo Zip, the number 1, stretching out again for Juan Cano. We've got Torres up. I believe he's still the leading rider, and the riding lights out, gets the rail, should be able to trip out quite nicely from here. We've also got Brits Witt. This is the maker that I want to use. I think we've been moving forward. We've got 3 wins on the turf, and this will be our 4th start with Maker, and then we see the works really start to heat up in the morning. So I think we're going to see a move forward from this older English channel. This is the type of horse that I like in Maker's care. Older. I know that the sire does well with these older runners, and Brits Witt, I think, has more to show us. Proved himself at the distance and in great hands. So 1 and 6, I would definitely want to lean on most. And Coliseo is one that I wouldn't want to get beat by. Wayne Catalano's a class dropper in here who looks like we've been working sharp and has been facing much, much tougher than this field. So not as much value in that one, but I would hate to lose to number 5.
All right, so top pick then, number 1, Voodoo Zip.
Top pick will be Brits Witt, the number 6.
Okay.
Make the channel in here, yeah.
All right, and both of those horses, by the way, 10-1 on the morning line, so you're going to get good value either way. And again, if you're playing that multi-race $3 pick 3, all-turf pick 3, you're going to have the opportunity to use all of the horses that Kevin just mentioned there. So should be a really interesting afternoon of racing. And Kevin, just to recap, make sure I have it right, you're going to go in race number 4, the first leg of that all-turf pick 3. You're going to take number 6, Triumphant Spirit, at 7-2 as your top pick. Race number 7, number 3, Izzy's Bolt at 3-1 will be your top pick. And race number 9, number 6, Brit's Wit at odds of 10-1 as the top selections. But again, there are others that you've talked about in each race that will give listeners an opportunity to spread a little bit there however they would like. But as long as they're doing it with TwinSpires, we'll be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. With TwinSpires is the way to go. All sorts of opportunities on there. Yeah, it's a $54 ticket if you put all those horses together and play that all-turf pick 3. And, we'll definitely get value in that last leg. You always want to think about that, right? When are you separating from the crowd to make the wager worth it, especially with $54 coming into a pick 3. So, those are my top picks. Hopefully we can get it done in here, and I know we'll see some great races, full fields. What more could you want, Mike, right?
Yeah, what more could you want? Is that your favorite type of bet to make, these multi-race wagers?
Yeah, I can't get away from them, for better or for worse. You know, when they come through, it's just all gold, and life feels great. The long droughts are hard to suffer in between, but I do like them. I like thinking in terms of just the way that other people will construct their tickets and trying to be sort of on the other side of the coin of that. And I like to think in terms of likely winners and tosses. That just suits the way I can sort of approach these races. So but the droughts are tough. But when it rains, it pours. So that's the life of the multi-race wager play.
Kevin, been a delight to have you on the program here. I think you knocked it out of the park with your first appearance on the TwinSpires Triple Play. Hopefully we can get a chance to do it again down the road.
Hey, I'd love to be on anytime, Mike. Thanks for all you do for horse racing. I appreciate you.
All right, keep it rolling, Kevin. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. You too.
All right, Kevin Kilroy with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Don't forget, if you missed any of that, you can check out the podcast of the program after we finish up at 11 a.m. Eastern. You'll be able to walk through all of Kevin's plays and craft your ticket accordingly. All right, coming up next, Kurt Becker takes you on his weekly Stroll Through Racing History as we continue to celebrate Woodbine Week here on HRRN. Kurt's story, a fantastic story about the old Woodbine. Stay tuned for that. This is the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The horse industry contributes so much to Virginia. Just ask Garrett Lipscomb of Montpelier Feed and Seed.
Agriculture is a big business in the Commonwealth. My family's been in the horse industry for many years. I'm the place that you go when you need to feed your animals. I graduated from Virginia Tech and went immediately back into work in the community. The horse industry in Virginia creates a large impact on my business, and it's important to me to keep Virginia in agriculture and to keep the horse industry thriving.
Virginia's economy wins with horses.
Get ready for the biggest night of racing in Charlestown history on Friday, August 23rd. It's the Grade 2 $1 million Charlestown Classic and Grade 2 $750,000 Charlestown Oaks, now the richest sprint race for 3-year-old fillies in North America. The spectacular card features 6 stakes races worth $2.9 million. The action gets started with a special first post time of 5 o'clock Eastern. It's the Grade 2 Charlestown Classic and Grade 2 Charlestown Oaks on Friday, August 23rd here at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races.
Colonial Downs summer racing season is here. Weekend racing returns with afternoon racing on Thursdays and Saturdays and a new late afternoon post of 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Fridays. Back is our popular 12% takeout pick 5, now offered twice daily. Join us for our biggest day of the season on August 10th at 1 p.m. for Colonial Downs Festival of Racing, featuring 7 stakes races, including the Grade 1 Arlington Million. And then September 7th, we'll wrap up the season with the Virginia Derby. Colonial Downs, rich history, bright future.
This is Woodbine Week on HRRN.
The thrill of world-class racing now at Toronto's Woodbine Racetrack. With live racing Thursday through Sunday, you can enjoy the best turf racing around with daily action over the famed E.P. Taylor Turf Course. Join us this Saturday, August 17th for the King's Plate. First post is 12:25 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sunday, September 14th, join us for 3 Grade 1 Breeders' Cup win and you're in races with the Woodbine Mile, Natalma Stakes, and Summer Stakes. For wagering updates, handicapping tips, racing news, and more, visit woodbine.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Hello, I'm Kurt Becker. Thanks for joining me as I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. Dating to 1860, the King's Plate is Canada's oldest thoroughbred race and North America's oldest continuously run race. Later today, the 165th running goes to the post at Woodbine Racetrack in northwest Toronto. But the King's Plate gained traction and first became an event of national significance at a track which was located on Toronto's East End. That track, which opened in 1875 and hosted each running of the King's Plate from 1883 through 1955, was known as Woodbine Park. The King's Plate predates the founding of the track, which eventually came to be known as Old Woodbine, with the Toronto Turf Club having petitioned Queen Victoria in 1859 to grant a plate for the running of a race restricted to Canadian-bred racehorses. The Queen granted the request, and so the Queen's Plate was born, but the race did not realize immediate success. The Queen's Plate, in fact, became a political football, as members of the Legislative Assembly in Ontario sought to have the race hosted by a track in their own constituency. And the abundance of racetracks in Ontario also led to the perception of racing as a haphazard, disorganized affair, with one newspaper editorial describing horse racing as nothing but a bed of crookedness and chaos. There was Mr. Scarlett's racetrack near the Humber River. There was a course on Toronto Island finishing at Gibraltar Point. There was Bolton's course, Maitland's track, Gates course, and Carlton Field. From the 1840s to 1875, tracks dotted the landscape of Ontario, but none offered the hope of ever bringing top-level racing to Canada. As one newspaper writer put it, the racing scene was dull as ditch water. But when Woodbine Park opened along Lake Ontario and Woodbine Avenue on the east side of Toronto in 1875, a group of investors saw an opportunity to take Canadian racing in a new direction. In 1881, the Ontario Jockey Club was formed, and in 1883, Woodbine Park was chosen to host the Queen's Plate. At the time, the Queen's Plate was held in May, and in its union with Woodbine Park, it became known as an annual opening of spring. Some 5,000 spectators attended the Queen's Plate the first year it was held at Woodbine Park, the largest crowd ever to witness a sporting event in Canada at that time. There was pomp and circumstance at Woodbine Park like Canadian racing had never seen. Mounted police with scarlet jackets and brass helmets would lead pre-race ceremonies on Queen's Plate Day. The Highlanders Band would hail visiting dignitaries with strains of O Canada and Maple Leaf. There were flower beds on the lawn and an eye-catching green and white color scheme in the grandstand. Before long, crowds of 25,000 or more were jamming the grounds to see the Queen's Plate or King's Plate, depending on the monarch of the era. There was the 65th running in 1924, when Maternal Pride pulled a 95-1 shocker. There was the live radio broadcast of the race the following year, anchored by William and Foster Hewitt, which was advertised as the first live radio broadcast ever of a horse race. There was the 69th running in 1928, when the filly Young Kitty from the Seagram stables of distillery fame beat the boys to win the big event. By 1934, so popular was the race and Woodbine Park that winning owner R.S. McLaughlin framed the written draft from the Royal Treasury at Buckingham Palace for the traditional 50 guineas, awarded the winner of what was at the time the King's Plate. The keeper of the privy purse issued a stern directive telling McLaughlin to cash it immediately because the accounts of King George VI were in disarray.
In 1939, for the 80th running, King George VI and Queen Elizabeth I announced their intentions to attend the King's Plate. Residents of Toronto began lining the streets before sunup, hoping to get a glimpse of the royal couple, with 1,000 citizens jamming the area near North Toronto Station some 4 hours before the royal train arrived. A crowd of 40,000, including the royal couple, saw Canadian juvenile champion Archworth win the King's Plate that afternoon by a margin of 10 lengths. But by 1956, Woodbine Park had become known as Old Woodbine. A $12 million plant called New Woodbine had opened on Toronto's northwest side. New Woodbine, known today as Woodbine Racetrack, has fulfilled the promise it brought to Canada when it opened in the mid-1950s. It was said at the time that a new era had begun in Canadian racing. But may Old Woodbine never be forgotten. As the racing world heralds the 165th running of the King's Plate later today, may Old Woodbine be remembered for its contributions to Canadian racing and to the King's Plate, for it was the site where both began a sustained rise to prominence. Though it's gone today, the result of residential and commercial development, Old Woodbine is more than just a lost racetrack of a past era. Instead, it's a track which fulfilled its purpose by laying the foundation for a great tradition which continues still today, a tradition some 165 years strong. Happy King's Plate Day, everyone. Please join me again next week when I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. For HRRN, I'm Kurt Becker.
Kurt Becker with another fantastic story. If you did miss it, head over to our website after I finish up at 11 a.m. Eastern. And don't forget to subscribe to us on Podbean or Apple Podcasts to hear all of our weekly shows. Coming up next, I welcome Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin for this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
You're listening to HRRN, Horse Racing's Voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Join us at Kentucky Downs August 29th through September 11th, showcasing 7 days of racing with $34 million in purses, including the world's richest maiden races at $170,000 for Kentucky breds. The meet boasts the largest field sizes in America with 6 $2 million stakes races on September 7th and 15 of 18 stakes worth at least $1 million for Kentucky breds. Also on September 7th is the FanDuel TV U.S. Open Turf Championships, including 2 Breeders' Cup win-and-you're-in races. Reserved seats on sale at the KentuckyDowns.com. There's unique, and there's Kentucky Downs.
It is certainly very exciting times at Millridge Farm, with Oscar Performance making such a promising start at stud. And now, Breeders' Cup champion Aloha West has everyone's attention with how well he's breeding. So much so, Bo Lane commented, quote, "By far the best foal this mare has ever produced is an Aloha West." Recognized horse chiropractor Shirley McQuillan said, "The best first crop foals I have seen this year have been the Aloha West babies. They have great presence and quality and just stand out." Very exciting times indeed at Millridge.
There are thrills around every turn at Gulfstream Park with heart-pounding horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Join us in Ten Palms Restaurant for an elevated view of the track, or take in the races at the Carousel Club trackside. Come out on Saturdays and enjoy high-quality stakes races, and join us all summer long for an expanded event schedule. Simulcast opportunities 7 days a week. For reservations, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Will you accept the Breeders' Cup Challenge? The chance to compete against the best in the world? The chance to race for a piece of a record-setting $33 million in purses and awards? The chance to be a champion? Winning a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race gives you the chance to do just that. With an invitation to horse racing's biggest event of the year, the Breeders' Cup World Championships in Del Mar, where finish lines become the start of a legacy and starting gates shine on the world stage. Win a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race and earn an automatic starting position in a Breeders' Cup race. entry fees paid by the Breeders' Cup, a Nominator Award of $10,000, travel awards, and so much more. Here, winning a Challenge Series race is just the beginning. View the schedule of Challenge Series races happening around the world and learn more at breederscup.com/challenge.
This is I Ask, They Answer on the Equine Forum on HRRN.
With a quarter to go at Pimlico, and leading the way is Seize the Gray. Seize the Gray trying to lead them all the way. Seize the Gray, and here's Mystic Dan, 10 feet to the outside. Mystic Dan's coming with a run at the 360s, but still in front of Seize the Gray. Seize the Gray and Jaime Torres in front. Mystic Dan, Brian Hernandez Jr. catching Freedom on the outside with a late bid. It's Seize the Gray in front by 2, shifting out a little bit under left-handed pressure as they're close to home in the Preakness. Seize the Gray. Oh, Jaime Torres seized the day to win the 149th running of the Preakness with Mystic Danner catching Freedom. And then it was Tuscan Gold Just Steel, Uncle Heavy, followed by Imagination and Mugatu.
The voice of Maryland Racing, Dave Rodman, with the call of the Preakness Stakes this past spring. The hero of that race, Seize the Gray, not going to be part of next Saturday's Midsummer Derby at Saratoga. He will instead await the Pennsylvania Derby on September 21st. Considering the 3-year-old championship is still very much up for grabs, is that the right or wrong decision? Plus, you won't want to miss what Dale and Tim have to say about moving the Virginia Derby to take part in next year's Road to the Kentucky Derby. We'll talk about that, and should trainers be limited in the number of times they can scratch a horse? Those topics and much, much more are straight ahead on this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer with trainer Dale Romans and turf writer Tim Wilkin, all presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program in the College of Business, and all starting just 30 seconds from right now.
A spark turns into a dream, and your dreams fuel a love that will last a lifetime. Turn your passion into a career with experienced guidance, a thorough study of equine business, as well as opportunities to get your hands dirty and put your mind to work. Located in the heart of horse country, let your passion fuel your profession at the U of L Equine Industry Program. Apply today.
All right, guys, last week we introduced a new wrinkle to I Ask, They Answer, where we're getting so many listener-submitted questions every single week that we want to give listeners the opportunity to ask their question to you in person, if you will. And so each week we are selecting a listener who submits a question to us to record their question to you, and we play it back here on the program. And this week it is Tom in St. Louis, and here is his question to kick off the show.
Hi, guys. This is Tom in St. Louis. My question is, should a trainer be limited in the number of times that they can scratch a horse? Back when my dad trained, if a horse was scratched out of a race, he lost his entry date, and with the full fields back then, scratching out of a race meant you could not race for 3 to 4 weeks. Nowadays, trainers scratch simply because of the level of competition or because they do not like the post position, because of the draw, or because of the weather. So is it now time to consider different policies when it comes to scratches? Thank you.
Dale, what do you think?
Scratching's a funny thing, and he's right. Years ago, scratching was very taboo. The racetracks would try to force you into running. They would even put you on a vet list at times to make you, if you wanted to scratch a horse. With all the focus we have on safety these days, it doesn't matter why a guy wants to scratch. He can always say that I don't like the way the horse felt today, or don't like him running on this surface, and who's to say that they're doing it for other reasons. And those horses usually cycle back. I think running back quicker is a better thing because they get back into the population. They have run in other races that need them. But scratch rules have changed quite a bit over the years, and he's right. They used to force you. You still lose your preference, though. If you scratch out of a race today, then it's counted just like you ran in that race, and you don't get to cycle back into the entries if it's a division that usually has full fields until your turn's back up again.
Did you like the way things were structured back years ago, Dale, or does that system not even work anymore because of the scrutiny and the efforts that the industry is making surrounding safety?
It doesn't work in today's environment. There's no reason to even think about it, but I never did like the old system where they tried to force you to run a horse, and put it on a vet's list and lock it up where it couldn't run for a while. It was just to protect the racetracks more than anything. I think you got to protect the horses first. And I think the majority of people scratch because I think there's very few, though, who will say they scratch simply because of post position or don't like the horses. All the information given to you these days, you pretty much know who you're going to run against before you ever enter now. It's that part's changed, too, and it's just part of the evolution.
Tim, what are your thoughts on Tom's question?
Dale covered the whole thing. I have nothing else to say because I don't, I've never been in a situation. Obviously, I don't train horses, so anything I would be saying would just be window dressing. So everything he said, I agree with.
We like that. Tom in St. Louis, we appreciate that question, my friend. And if you have a question for Dale and Tim, you can email the question to me, Mike at horseracingradio.net, or you can post it on our social media pages, and we will select one listener each week who submits a question to record their question, and we'll play it back here on the show for Dale and Tim to answer for you. Guys, let's move on to another listener-submitted question here. This one comes from Bill in Morrow, New York, and he wants to know, should the Lasix ban be restricted only to 2-year-olds and Grade 1 stakes races to allow horses subject to EIPH the ability to compete in more races? And what effect, if that's the case, what effect would doing something like that have on breeders, and would it allow for better stakes races overall with larger fields? Dale, I'll let you take this one first.
Well, Lasix is a complicated issue, and it's been a hot topic for the last 40 years. Everybody argues pro-Lasix, anti-Lasix. I think the major majority is pro-Lasix. It's a medication that's proven to be safe. People take it, and it helps a horse from bleeding, and bleeding can be very traumatic on a horse. Personally, I think if we're not going to have Lasix, let's take it off all of them. Let's don't break it up like we do. I may understand 2-year-olds because they're running, all of them are running off of it. I don't believe it's fair for the horse player. If you have a horse that's run through all of his conditions and is now going into stakes company, for the players to have to handicap that horse running without Lasix. Do they know he'll handle it? Do they know he'll run the way he has on his form? Or is he going to decline a little bit because of it? But Lasix is the hottest topic in horse racing on the backside. If you get the pro racing guys are adamant about we need it, it helps them, it makes a race less traumatic, and then you get the guys that say we shouldn't have to need anything to run, which is, in a perfect world, that'd be fine. But I always say, like, Jerome Bettis wouldn't have played in the NFL if he didn't have his inhaler to open his lungs up. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It doesn't make them fast. You can call it a performance enhancer because if you're not going to bleed in your lungs, you're going to perform better. But there's a lot of aluminum shoes are performance enhancers. Good hay is a performance enhancer if you want to look at it that way. But my theory is either let's do it or don't. Let's figure it out. Should we have Lasix? Shouldn't we have Lasix? But I don't think any study's ever been done that shows that it's detrimental to a racehorse, is my personal feeling.
Well, I read somewhere, Dale, you can correct me if this is wrong. If Lasix causes a horse to urinate and they could lose maybe 20 to 30 pounds of fluid, and that could make them run faster. Is that a myth? Is that a wives' tale?
No, they probably will lose a little. I don't know what makes them run fast, but I can take their bucket out at 4 a.m. in the morning, and they're not going to have as much fluid in them when they go over the run. But you want them hydrated too, so I don't buy that. I think that it becomes a performance enhancer because it stops them from hemorrhaging in their lungs, which I don't see a problem with that. What's wrong with that? If we had a inexpensive medication that didn't hurt a horse and we could stop them from hurting themselves in any ways, why wouldn't we use it?
Well,
it's not a drug that changes their metabolic process or anything. It lowers their blood pressure and keeps them from hemorrhaging in their lungs. Horses do bleed. That's a fact. But we've been arguing this thing an awful lot for an awful long time. It sure seems like plenty of smart people get together and figure out what's best for the horse.
Well, I agree with that too. Whatever's best for the horse. I mean, it's you see a lot of horses come back after a race with the blood pouring out of their nostrils, and would Lasix prevent that?
Yeah, Lasix stops. Well, I mean, some horses bleed even with Lasix.
Dale, I've always been told, and again, I'll take Timmy's approach here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've always been told that the majority of horses are not true bleeders that would benefit from being placed on Lasix or even using a flare nasal strip or whatever the case might be. Is that true?
Yeah, there's a lot of horses aren't going to bleed that will be on Lasix, but I don't see that that's a problem. It's not a harmful medication. I say a lot of people with high cholesterol aren't going to have heart attacks. We'll put them all on statins to protect the minority that will bleed, and it's not going to hurt any of them. So is it use on horses that wouldn't need it in the long run? Possibly is, but there's not a real detriment to doing it.
Bill, it's a great question, and we really appreciate you sending that one in. Again, if you have a question for Dale or Tim, send it to us. We'll work it into the program here in the weeks ahead. Guys, we're moving on to the next segment of the program. We do this every week where we say hello to our friend Nick Zito. And Dale and Tim, you get to tell me if the following statements are right or wrong.
Yeah, right or wrong. Am I right? What do you think? Right or wrong?
I'm going to come to Timmy first with this first topic because we know how much Dale loves polls. So I'm going to throw in a question about a poll to kick things off for us here this morning. Timmy, 3-year-old filly Torpedo Anna has ascended to the number 1 spot in the NTRA Top Thoroughbred poll ahead of Senor Buscador, National Treasure, Dornock, and Adair Manor. Is it right or wrong to consider Torpedo Anna the best horse in training?
What do you think? Right or wrong?
I think right now it's right to think that. I mean, and polls they're fun for people that follow racing. People like to see how these horses are ranked. And right now, Torpedo Anna has won her, all of her races by like a combined 36 and a quarter lengths. And she's going to go run up against the boys a week from today in the Travers. She's the now horse. And, you look at some of the other horses that you mentioned there, like Senor Buscador. He hasn't run since the Dubai World Cup in March when he was third, and he has one win on his resume this year in 3 starts, that being the Saudi Cup. But granted, he was also second in the Pegasus. Adair Manor has won 3 of 4 this year. She's only one of them was outside of California, the Apple Blossom. She's a very talented mare, and but I think that because of Torpedo Anna's popularity, I mean, she's not, as far as I'm concerned, she's not in the Zenyatta Rachel class yet. But if she were to win the Travers, I mean, she's on the fast track to being Horse of the Year. So right now, I think, yes, she deserves, no question, to be on the top of that list.
Tim has a pretty good answer as I know you didn't do research again this week. So that was a pretty good answer. But she is obviously the most dominant of any division in her 3-year-old fillies division. But if they ran the Classic tomorrow, would she be the favorite? I don't think she would be.
I don't think she'd be in the Classic.
What's that?
I don't think she'll be in the Classic, or would be in the Classic.
No, but I'd say if she ran it tomorrow against all the horses she's ranked ahead of, would she be favored over them?
Maybe.
And I don't think she would be. I don't think those older horses she would be the favorite over. You know what I think of polls? I think they're silly, but if people like to read them, that's fine. The poll's only as good as the person's opinion that's writing the poll.
Let me, Tim, I'll ask you this question, piggybacking on what Dale just said. Do you think Torpedo Anna is favored in the Travers next weekend?
No, I think Dornock will be the favorite. I think Torpedo Anna will be the second choice, and I think Fierceness will be the third choice.
If she's the best horse in the country, she should be a favorite.
Well, the oddsmaker doesn't necessarily think that, but doesn't maybe agree with me. I think she is, but I think Dornock will be the favorite off of the Belmont and the Haskell.
I agree with
you. But it's a tough ask that Kenny's making with her in the Travers, but Again, it's great for the game. It's getting people talk about the game. People that might not follow horse racing are going to watch the Travers, see how she does.
Yep, it's going to be spectacular. And whether you believe with Timmy that the pollsters got it right, or you think that you're in the Dale camp that the pollsters got it wrong, it's going to be a great showdown next weekend with Torpedo Anna and Dornock and Fierceness and the entire cast of characters that we're going to see in that Travers Stakes. We'll talk about that here on the program next weekend, but let's talk about the Preakness winner, Seize the Gray, who is going to skip next week's Travers to point for the Pennsylvania Derby on September 21st, considering that this 3-year-old championship, guys, let's face it, it's still very much up for grabs. As much as you want to look at Dornock as the leader, it's still up for grabs. Are his connections, the connections of Seize the Gray, making the right or wrong decision?
What do you think? Right or wrong?
Tim, what do you think?
This is kind of a tough one. I mean, I talked to Wayne Lucas at length about this. He's the greatest trainer a few days ago, and he was dead set. He said, I want to run in the Travers. I mean, it comes down to my racehorse. They're the ones that made the decision that they wanted to go to the Pennsylvania Derby. There are bonuses involved with the breeding rights with Gainesway Farm. I think the Travers is with a higher bonus than winning the Pennsylvania Derby, but I think they wanted to get another grade one on his resume. And let's face it, the Pennsylvania Derby is going to be an easier spot than the Travers. And I don't know what the deal is with Gainesway. If he runs up the track in Travers, is he going to be as appealing to the breeders as he once was? I mean, his last two races haven't been great. He's been beaten by like a combined 25 lengths in the Belmont and the Jim Dandy. So I think they're just going for the easier spot, even though Wayne Lucas, he wanted to run in both of them. He wanted to run in the Travers and the Jim and the Pennsylvania Derby.
Yeah, there's probably some business behind the decision. Usually all stallions deals I've done is the farm just bought into the horse while he's still running, has the right to retire him if they run 3 bad races or miss the board 3 times in a row. And a little bit of that might be involved. And, to be honest, it's a long shot for him to be 3-year-old champion. I guess he'd have to win the Travers, and probably beat the motor horses before the end of the year. Wayne makes good decisions, so whatever he's doing, I want to say is right.
Well, I don't think it was his decision on this one.
It may not have been, because for Wayne to skip a big race is unusual, but I'm sure there was some business decisions being made on top of this racing.
I think 100% on that.
All right, that is right or wrong. We'll bring that segment back again next week here on a Travers Week edition of the program. Guys, 2 more topics to get to before our Showdown 3 update and your West Point of the Week. The Virginia Derby, traditionally held on turf and run in late summer at Colonial Downs, is going to be moved to the main track next year and included as part of the Road to the Kentucky Derby. The race is going to be held on March 15th, 2025, and according to and it will anchor a new 4-day spring meet at Colonial Downs. The winning horse is going to earn 50 qualifying points toward a spot in the Kentucky Derby. Dale, do you like this move?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it coming off the grass. I like that race. I mean, I won it 3 times on the turf with some pretty good horses. I love Colonial Downs. Bigger question is, why is Churchill running a 4-day meet in the spring? I'd like to, when I get home, I'm going to find out. There's got to be more business behind that, too, than just wanting to run 4 more days in the spring. But, hey, the more preps you have, the better. I like it. The more I like it. It'll make more points available for the 3-year-olds. And, face it, this might be a spot that will come up on a calendar that may be an easier spot for some of these trainers as they map out what they're going to do with their 3-year-olds. So, the winner gets to 25 points. That could be the difference between getting in and not getting into the Derby in a lot of these cases. So I think it's a good idea.
All right, well, we're going to see how it plays out. And, Dale, you bring up a good point, that 4-day meet taking place in the middle of March, and that's going to be, right around that time when we're talking about races like the Florida Derby coming up in early April. You're going to have races taking place in mid-March that are other Derby prep races. So it's going to be interesting to see how this schedule all comes together too.
It is. It's going to be interesting to see how things work out.
All right, that's the Virginia Derby again, March 15th next year, moved to the dirt and part of that 4-day spring meet at Colonial Downs. Topic number 5. Guys, going to have a little fun with this one. Santa Anita announced their entire entertainment lineup for the $1 million California Crown on September 28th. Fans are going to be treated to performances by Griffin, Little Yachty, Shabuzi, Frank Walker, and I believe Zach Bia, and it might be Bia. I have no idea. Who are you guys most excited to see?
Let me take this one first because Tim and I went over these this morning, and the only one I'd ever heard of was Civaci, only because he's got a popular country song out, and Tim had never even heard of him, so we played it this morning. So I want to answer for both of us that Civaci we like, the one song we know, the rest of them we have no idea, but hopefully they're good.
Yeah,
Tim?
Absolutely. I mean, when I was talking to Dale this morning out in the backstretch, and you said, we mentioned these artists. I mean, it looked like a jigsaw puzzle to me with these names. I've never heard any of them. And I guess the Civaci song, I like that, but I mean, I couldn't. If you put a gun to my head, I'd be dead because I wouldn't be able to name any songs that any of these other guys sang. I wouldn't know any of them. None.
Yeah.
But I like the question because it made me feel pretty good this morning. I could educate Tim on something. Usually it's the other way around.
I'm telling you, Dale, you got to get your own national American bandstand show going.
Yeah, I knew one person.
Well, Dale, I love this other poll that came out this week, too. This was on the Romans Racing Twitter page. You celebrated a birthday this week. Happy birthday, my friend. And the question was, if you were going to be cast as the starring role of one of the 3 upcoming sequels, which one would people like to see you in? Happy Gilmore 2, Romanheimer, or Wolf of Weight Loss? And the poll went to Wolf of Weight Loss. 45% of the people saying that's the one that you should be cast as a star of that one.
Yeah, well, I want to go on record as saying I've never even been on my website. That's all. That's all Gwen Davis is doing, and it seems to entertain a lot of people. So Gwen does a good job. So Wolf of Weight Loss was the winner. Huh?
That was the winner.
Well, you know, you should in the Q&A I did with Dale. I don't know if people saw it in the TVN. One of the questions I asked him was if he could have if there was a movie made about his life and he could pick the actor to play him, who would he pick?
Yes.
Dale, tell us who you picked.
Well, I said it would have been John, what's his name?
Candy, or Goodman.
Yeah, John Goodman. But now, since I've lost the weight, I think it should be George Clooney. And Tim laughed for some reason. I don't know what he's laughing about.
But then the great answer that you had right back was, well, it's my movie.
It's my movie. I can make it anybody I want. I'm going to cast him. He's a good Kentucky boy.
I love it. Fantastic. All right, guys, quick update on the Showdown 3 before we get to your West Point of the week. And, boy, a lot has happened over the course of the past, even the past 72 hours. But let's start with last weekend. Dale's team victory added 10 points to his total, courtesy of the maiden-breaking score by Tenacious Leader, which brings his total to 30 points and moves him into a tie for second with my Team Mush stable. However, we are always proofing, we're always double-checking all of the standings here in the contest. And upon further review, it was brought to my attention that we missed the Dale Romans-trained Murphy Girl finishing third at Ellis Park 2 days into the contest on July 15th. So those additional 5 points earned by Murphy Girl move the defending champion Dale Romans into first place, sitting here on August 17th with a total of 35 points. He's 1 point ahead of Tim's Lost in the Fog stable, which also relegates yours truly to last place with a total of 30 points. No action this week, guys. Timmy, tough news for you with the loss of Kings Barnes. You're now down to just 4 horses running for the rest of the year.
I guess I just, I'm kind of giving you, I'm taking the handicap so you guys can get a shot to beat me. I still have much faith in my squad.
Well, I like my position. I should be up more points than that. Of course, off the turf race in Detroit cost me a lot because Cogman didn't get to run, and that's going to cost me a whole race because I'm sure now he'll wait for Kentucky Downs where he's going to hit both races. So I was counting on those 20 points, but I still like my position.
Yeah, the defending champion, Dale Romans, winner of the Showdown 2, 1 point ahead of Tim Wilkin, the winner of the Showdown 1. And I'm just trying to make an impact here as we move closer to the Breeders' Cup and see if I can shake things up a little bit. But Dale in the lead as we move into this weekend. Again, no action this weekend for any of our horses in the Showdown 3. Time for the West Point of the Week, where Dale and Tim get to make one final point. And, of course, this is brought to you by our friends at West Point Thoroughbreds. Owning a racehorse with West Point, remember, it is a lifestyle investment for your entire family. It is a smart, fun way for new owners to enjoy being an instant insider and access the major leagues of racing for a fraction of the cost of doing it alone. West Point Thoroughbreds, the gold standard in racing partnerships. Tim, what do you got for us this week?
Well, I've been doing the shameless plugs for the TDN since the meet started, so I'm going to do another one. The Q&A for this coming week is with Jenna Antonucci. She had some interesting things to say, and I hope people check it out and read it. And I'll have one more left after that before the meet ends. So they've been a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, it's good. They're all good. Everybody seems to really enjoy those. I just want to say, you mentioned earlier I turned 58 on Wednesday. I got a great birthday surprise. My daughter Bailey drove up from Washington, D.C. and walked into the paddock, unbeknownst to me. Tammy threw me a little surprise party at one of our favorite restaurants up here, Mamma Mia, with my friends. It was a great day, and I want to thank all the well-wishers and people who text or called and wished me a happy birthday.
Yeah,
my invitation must have been lost in the mail.
Yeah, I'm going with you next Wednesday.
Great stuff. Guys, really appreciate it. Fun show. We're going to do this all over again next Saturday, a special Travers Stakes edition of the program coming up here on I Ask, They Answer. Enjoy every minute of this weekend, guys.
All right,
you just well.
Next week.
All right, if you have a topic you want to hear Dale and Tim discuss, you know what to do. Email that topic to me, Mike at horseracingradio.net. We'll get it worked into the show, or you can post it on our social media pages, and maybe you'll be the one selected to record your question and ask Dale and Tim here on the program. Ask them yourselves. Kind of fun. You ask, they will answer. This segment and this show presented every week by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program and the College of Business. I'm back with more. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes.
Hi, Tony. Hey, Matthew. There's a reason why Tony's Steaks and Seafood is my favorite restaurant. It's because I want to feel part of the family. Isn't that right, Tony?
That's right. There's a saying on the wall that I truly believe in. There's always room for one more at our table. We just want you to be part of our family.
And believe me, you will be. It's Tony's Steaks and Seafood right across from Triangle Park. Visit them at TonySteaksandSeafood.com.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
James Brown and Bill Cowher welcoming you back to Dennis Melvin's house. It's time for the Midnight Snack Run.
This is one tricky obstacle course. Sticking to healthy habits in this kitchen is going to take focus and determination, but it can be done, JB.
He's already entered the snack part of the course, and he's eyeballing a jar of chocolatey candy.
That is tempting right off the start.
Uh-oh, he's reaching, Bill, but he pushes it away.
Great stiff arm.
He's approaching a plate of delicious-looking iced cookies.
Oh, Dennis, you only want one of those.
He blows right by him for the apple.
Oh, the fridge. It's make or break time, JB.
He stares down some rich-looking treats. Uh-oh, looks like he's headed for the soda. Wait, he jukes left, grabs the water bottle, and shuts the door with his elbow in record time.
Unbelievable move. I gotta see that again.
And he's out. He even turned off the light.
That's the way you execute a midnight snack run.
Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Trainer Talk, presented by Fasig Tipton.
Please join me in welcoming Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher.
Hall of Fame trainer Nick Zito on Trainer Talk. Welcome Hall of Famer Bob Baffert to the program. Hall of Fame trainer Shug McGahee, nice enough to spend some time with us. Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott here on Trainer Talk.
Dual Hall of Fame trainer Mark Cassie.
Trainer Talk, the biggest names in horse racing. Wednesdays, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. Sirius 162, XM 207, and streaming live at horseracingradio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Well, the August issue of Blood Horse features 148 pages, including several special features. You can download a copy of the August issue now from the Blood Horse Magazine tablet app via the App Store or Google Play, and you can order a copy at shop.bloodhorse.com or subscribe today at subscribe.bloodhorse.com. Well, we wind down Woodbine Week here on the network, celebrating the King's Plate, which comes up later today. We spent plenty of time talking about that race and the huge card at Woodbine here on the program. You know, the Canadian Triple Crown consists of the King's Plate, the Prince of Wales Stakes, and the Breeders' Stakes, which the Breeders' Stakes held back at Woodbine, the Prince of Wales Stakes held at Fort Erie. The Canadian Triple Crown was established in 1959, and since that time there have been 7 horses to sweep the Triple Crown, the last to do so, Wando, in 2003. It was in 2014, though, that the Hall of Fame decided to honor the 5 horses who had won those 3 races before 1959. So now officially 12 horses recognized as winning the Canadian Triple Crown. Just a little interesting factoid for you here on this King's Plate morning, and a great way to wrap up Woodbine Week, presented by Woodbine. Our thanks to them for all of their support here throughout the week. Look for more horse weeks coming up later this year. My thanks to all of our guests for making this show possible, including Kevin Kilroy with the TwinSpires Triple Play, Dale and Tim in the previous segment, and Kurt Becker with the Stroll Through Racing History. If you missed any portion of the show, check out the podcast on our website and all podcast platforms. My thanks to my producer, Lee Delapina, in our Lexington studios, to Chauncey for handling all of our social media. I'm Mike Penna. Thanks for listening. Go Steelers.